So so this is just from my hit list from the last few days of different news that I found to be really, really interesting. We'll start with, this is a good one. I think this is one that'll probably hook a few of you in. There was a study recently that people with higher cognitive ability have weaker moral foundations. This is a study that, hold on one second. Well, I'm just going to go through my headlines, and then we can kind of lean into something as I get through. And in other news, student loans are still under attack, and we have, as of August 1st, those of us who are on the SAVE student loan repayment plan, which is the one that Biden enacted that essentially, it has a stipulation that if you do not pay all of your interest and you're not even paying into your principal, that any part of the interest that you didn't pay will not balloon, because what's happening for a lot of people in the student loan business of paying back their loans is that they just are in snowballing loans over, decades. And so this is something that's being taken away. People in the SAVE program are being essentially forced to stay in limbo, but the interest is returning. So the snowball's returning without a means to essentially go back into active repayment right now, which is really kind of it's a quagmire. Here's another one. A new research revealing that emotional control deficits, there are emotional control deficits in generalized anxiety disorder. So what this means is that people who are diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, they are showing in this research that there is a decreased ability to regulate one's affect, which makes a lot of sense because this is sort of what's at the core of having kind of this kind of permanent kind of negativistic thinking and physiological kinds of changes that go along with having those types of thoughts in one's body over time. And so what I find to be quite hopeful about this study is that it, in my opinion, shows that this is something that, we have all sorts of skills and techniques we can do to regulate our affect and learn how to become more emotionally intelligent, more in touch with our emotions, and thus be able to sort of ride out those negativistic thoughts when we're in the midst of, dysphoria as it comes to our emotions. And so to me, that's a sign of some level of hope. Most recently, psilocybin, there's a new study it was a study on mice, and they're showing potential in slowing human cell aging and increased lifespan. And so this is, to me, this was the thing that got psychedelics back into my radar again. I've been obsessed with this. I run a social media website that I built, and it's got some international reach at this point. And we're all about, we're just professionals who are getting into psychedelics and people who want to learn more about it, and some people who've been kind of involved in it in a very long time. And so this study is actually something that's kind of re-enlivening, I would say, my desire to just connect with some people and see what they're making of this. We, finally, where do we land at? Oh yeah, okay, here we go. And then famous Stanford has a recent study that showed all sorts of risks with chatbots doing therapy. Apparently these chatbots are giving really bad advice. They also do not catch when people have suicidal ideation, so they're missing the markers for that. This is something that, in order to get licensed in psychology, you've got to get trained and all this kind of stuff. And then also they have biases towards and against certain diagnoses, and so they tend to say things that are quite stigmatizing to people with schizophrenia and some other disorders or other issues related to psychosis. And I found that really interesting. So are any of these headlines interesting at all to you, Steve? Any of these news stories?
We can't hear you, Uncle Steve. I saw you come off mute.
Can you hear me now or no?
Yes.
Thank you, Cora. Yes, they're all interesting to me.
Well, maybe I'll just land there. This will be kind of like a little a teaser, and if anyone wants to talk about them anymore, I'm happy to chime in. And good morning, everyone, and happy to hang.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. James. And speaking of Cora, let's say hello to Cora. Thank you for doing the heavy lifting. Good morning.
Good morning.
Is there anything you'd like to talk about now, or did you want to wait a bit?
I'll wait a bit. I'll see what other folks have to say. But Dr. James, a lot of that was very interesting to me too.
Let's go back up to the top. Oh, if anybody in the audience wants to come up, please come up and talk about whatever you want. I have seen some raised hands. I've invited some people up, but they haven't shown on stage. Hopefully, it's not a technological issue. Let's go back to Alfonso. Alfonso, good morning. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
I'm good for the time being, thank you.
All right, let's try Lynn. Lynn, is there anything you'd like to talk about?
No, but I as well am interested in a couple of Dr. James's suggestions, so that could be cool.
Did you want to talk about one of them now, or did you want to wait?
No, I'll just wait and see where it goes. Thanks.
All right, absolutely. Our birthday girl, Violet. And Violet, I just got a text. I haven't looked at it yet, but I will look at it before the top of the hour. Violet, would you like to contribute at this time?
It's the same recharge.
Yeah, I was interested in what Dr. James said about the AI therapy, because before I found Clubhouse and I was just looking to talk to anyone at all, basically, I had a lot of conversations with ChatGPT. I didn't treat it like a therapist, and I realized that whatever advice it gave me, wouldn't necessarily apply to me, but it was therapeutic to me in the sense of bouncing ideas off myself, at least. And so it's interesting that because it seemed helpful about 10 months ago, maybe, when I was doing it, a year ago, just to talk with it. So I am interested if they're going to be able to correct that, because it could be helpful for therapeutic. If they program it right, it seems like it could be.
Dr. James, did you want to respond to that now?
This is so
sorry, I'm walking my dog, so I'm kind of juggling, and I was also getting into the actual original research just now since you mentioned that. Well, just quickly, and I will have more to say in a little bit. I just want to get into exactly what they're purporting to say, because it could be that the headline misconstrues maybe some of the minutia, but essentially what I understood when I read the article about the research, which is not the best way to digest research, was that they're saying that it misses markers for suicidal intent. And so, one of the main markers for someone being willing to take action on suicidal ideation is that they have intent, they have means, they have a plan, but intent is the one that, we're really, really, really looking at, because without intent, oftentimes people, I know everybody's had some amount of depression or sadness in their life at one point or another, grief. And so I don't mean to sound like I'm doing the mansplain thing when I say it in this way, but I'm just trying to quickly say that when people have intent and we're doing suicide risk assessments, and someone says, look, I have a plan to X, and I've been thinking about this for a while, that's concerning. But when they have intent, that means they're likely ready to activate and actually go through with it. And many times there are people who also have suicidal ideation, and it's considered therapeutically beneficial to sit with that and work it out, figure it out, and plan around how to deal with it, rather than just avoiding it. And so I think that one of the things it was saying was that these bots are not picking up on that nuance, and it may be that the type of AI that they're using is something that's less robust. Like maybe if you were using the most powerful proprietary AI model, it may have better ability to pick up on some of those markers that are kind of not latent, but implicit in the language, versus maybe a lower power model might not have the nuanced ability. So that's what I was trying to dig into, is to figure out what exactly are we talking about. I don't know if that's helpful.
Did you want to respond, Violet?
Yeah, I wanted to say I didn't think that was mansplaining. I don't think I've ever heard you mansplain, Dr. James, personally, anyway. And I see what you're saying. I mean, I do think that, you know, like my experience with it, I wasn't treating it like an authority on what I should do with my mental health. So if you're approaching it as an authority as to what to do about your mental health, and it's giving you, you know, misinformation, or not directing you in the right way, I can definitely see how that would be dangerous. And I'll land there.
Reverend Scott, when he first came on the show this morning, said that he saw Good Will Hunting. For those of you that have never seen it, it was written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck. Matt Damon plays a mathematical genius who's basically a high school dropout, has spent many years in the criminal justice system, and he solves a problem. He solves mathematical problems at Harvard for fun. And he's taken to a therapist. And during the first visit with this therapist, as with the prior therapist, basically he rips them a new one. This therapist is played by Robin Williams. And when he goes to see Robin Williams for the second time, Robin Williams says, "Come with me." And this is their second session.
I think for swans, it's like a fetish. It's something like maybe we need to devote some time to.
I thought about what you said to me the other day about my painting. Stayed up half the night thinking about it. Something occurred to me. I fell into a deep, peaceful sleep, and I haven't thought about you since. You know what occurred to me? You're just a kid. You don't have the faintest idea what you're talking about.
Well, thank you.
It's all right. You've never been out of Boston.
Oh.
If I asked you about art, you'd probably give me the skinny on every art book ever written. Michelangelo. I know a lot about him. Life's work, political aspirations, human pulp, sexual orientation, the whole works, right? I bet you can't tell me what it smells like in the Sistine Chapel. You've never actually stood there and looked up at that beautiful ceiling. Seen that. If I ask you about women, you'd probably give me a syllabus of your personal favorites. You may have even been laid a few times. But you can't tell me what it feels like to wake up next to a woman and feel truly happy. You're a tough kid. I ask you about war, you probably throw Shakespeare at me, right? Once more into the breach, dear friends. But you've never been near one. You've never held your best friend's head in your lap and watched him gasp his last breath, looking to you for help. I ask you about love. Probably quote me a sonnet. But you've never looked at a woman who'd been totally vulnerable. Beyond someone that could level you with her eyes. Feeling like God put an angel on earth just for you. Who could rescue you from the depths of hell. And you wouldn't know what it's like to be her angel. To have that love for her, be there forever. Through anything. Through cancer. And you wouldn't know about sleeping sitting up in a hospital room for 2 months holding her hand. Because the doctors could see in your eyes that the terms visiting hours don't apply to you. You don't know about real loss. Because it only occurs when you love something more than you love yourself. I doubt you've ever dared to love anybody that much. I look at you, I don't see. I see a cocky, scared, shitless kid. But you're a genius, Will. No one denies it. No one could possibly understand the depths of you. But you presume to know everything about me because you saw a painting of mine and you ripped my fucking life apart. You're an orphan, right? I think I know the first thing about how hard your life has been, how you feel, who you are. Because I read Oliver Twist. Does that encapsulate you? Personally, I don't give a shit about all that, because you know what? I can't learn anything from you. I can't read in some fucking book. Unless you want to talk about you, who you are. And I'm fascinated. I'm in. But you don't want to do that, do you, sport? You're terrified of what you might say. You move, Chief.
Dr. James, I have a question for you.
And I have a comment about that clip, so I'll answer your question first, and then I'll comment.
It's actually about the movie and the clip. Did you see Good Will Hunting? And or what did you think of Robin Williams' character and or the clip? Take as much time as you want, thing.
I have seen it. It's been a very long time. That scene is very, very moving, and it immediately triggered a couple of thoughts about my own experiences and also about the article and Violet's particular question. And so what I'm going to do right now is, as concisely, or let's just say as efficiently as possible, I'm going to try to answer those two questions or those two comments, and then I'm going to relinquish the mic. And I'm going to put in my best effort. So hecklers, just know this is not for lack of trying. So the movie itself I thought was beautiful, obviously, and that scene is moving, and I'll tell you, I mean, extremely moving to me. Like, I'm almost on the verge of, verklempt, Mike Myers' character, feeling verklempt. I'm feeling a little verklempt right now because think about it. How did Robin Williams die? It's like the irony and poetic sort of beauty of listening to that from the tragic way he ended his own life, to me is well, it's just really profound. But so regarding this particular scene, one of the things that came to mind regarding Violet's question was they also talked about this thing called therapeutic alliance, which happens to be a well-researched construct. This is one of the evidences for, and I think why psychodynamic therapy, which is a grandchild of, Freud's original psychoanalysis, but it's been, changed quite a bit through the years. But essentially, this is one of the things that psychodynamic therapy is, and therapists that practice it are said to really excel at, and this type of therapy they look at often is their therapeutic alliance, because it's shown that this is something that can actually be predictive of a really therapeutic outcome over time. And so what I was thinking was, you've got Robin Williams, right, with his client, his patient, and he said, I've been thinking about you, right? And an AI can't really think about you. An AI doesn't go to bed at night and have dreams, and you more about their imagination and intertwine with the loves they felt and the thoughts they have, and then you come back and maybe you've both been doing the same thing, and there's a relationship. I mean, there is something to this idea of two humans having a relationship versus a human projecting feelings onto a non-human, which is fine because we do that. But it's not exactly the same thing. So that was one thing. I'm thinking, Betty, what it did show was that therapeutic alliance is impacted negatively, is one thing I believe that the article says. And then the other thing, I wanted to say, oh, here we go. So the other thing I really liked about this scene where Robin Williams was basically having him evoke his senses and giving him kind of like a version of what's called the miracle question in solution-focused therapy, which is where you say, imagine a time where everything is different. Looking back, what would you have thought about this moment? Or imagine a time, if you could have anything in the world, and the horrible possibility was your oyster. What might it be right now, and how would you get there? You kind of evoke the imagination. And I think evoking the senses is a version of that, where, like, it was a way of showing him maybe he does have something to live for without sort of beating him over the head with it. And it was a way of not avoiding the potentially lethal depression that he was in as a character in this movie, and that people are in every single fucking day. These people are people that I've sat with at, inpatient, locked unit, psychiatric facilities, on open units, in community mental health, in hospital settings, in my personal life. Everyone I know at one point has felt depressed. And the last thing we need when we're depressed is for people to give us what we want to some degree, which is probably to just let us rot by ourselves and just be done with it. At the same time, what we all need is to be respected in our sadness and to not be stigmatized because we have thoughts like this. And I'm going to land here with this. I mean, who of you who's ever felt suicidal feels more proud that you came through it than ashamed that you had the thought? I'll end.
And with that, we are at the bottom of the hour. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Atheist with the Mod Squad. Hopefully you can tell by now I have assembled the best Mod Squad in the history of Clubhouse. They have a wide variety of fields of expertise and knowledge. Unlike other Clubhouse rooms, we put a priority on the new speakers. We encourage you to be bold, brave, courageous. Come on up and you can talk about anything you want. You can talk about you, me, the Mod Squad, God, religion, current events, politics, whatever strikes your fancy. Just have a take and don't suck. We're going to continue with the show. Let's see. Let's go to Reverend Scott. Would you like to contribute at this time? Reverend Scott.
Uncle Steve, hey, how are you?
Yes. Hi.
I do want to say that...
You saw the movie last night. I don't know if it was your first time, but you saw the movie last night.
I've seen that movie many times.
I've seen it many times also.
But my friend who I was with had never seen it, which is wild, right? So I think it's very interesting to watch a film with someone that you love and you know is great with someone who hasn't seen it, because you get to experience the thing through their eyes a little bit, so it reminds you about some of the things you love and what what you liked and what drew the movie first. I do think one of the things that's two things I think. One thing I'll just say that I think is kind of interesting. I was thinking about your opening comments on William Jennings Bryan, someone who I think is a fascinating
trial, which was 100 years and 2 days ago. Yes.
Amazing. And someone who I think is a fascinating public figure and represents something that I don't think you see very often today. He is someone who is a man of the left. He was certainly a man of the left of his day, right? He was anti-war. He was an economic populist who, again, his famous address, I think, at the Democratic National Convention, it was called The Cross of Gold, which was a decrying of capitalist greed the materialism that he saw sort of destroying and oppressing working class people. And at the same time, he was someone who was an opponent of philosophical naturalism. He thought that a kind of materialist, Darwinist approach to the explanation for human origins and for what's really real about life was insufficient. Now, you could agree or disagree with his politics or his religious and metaphysical commitments. But what's interesting is his ability to synthesize something that's generally not synthesized there, right? If you are an opponent of philosophical naturalism and, critical of that in dialogue and with those folks, you're generally on the right? You just don't see people that are progressives who are, also are advocates of religious faith, defense, and are sort of defenders of it in face of challenges like the new atheism or something. And likewise, you don't see many people who are on the right who are critics of religion. It happens, again, there are exceptions to these patterns I'm laying out. But generally, the people on the right that are atheists wind up defending religion. I think of Greg Gutfeld or Karl Rove, famously, right? Karl Rove is a very candid atheist, but you never hear that guy critical of theism or evangelical Christianity, because it's just the ideological landscape is so silent that it's almost like when you pick your side in the partisan divide or in the cultural conflict, you can't transgress the norms, right? So there's this tremendous pressure to check every box. And one of the things that's great about you, William James Bryan into the conversation is he was someone that defied simple categorization. I wish we had, and you know what, it's great. We have some folks like that here on our very modest level. We have people like you, Uncle Steve, who are not siloed, for whom any idea is on the table, baby, and who entertains any idea, of course, on the best 3 hours of Clubhouse. The XO signing off.
Thank you, XO. Alfonso, would you like to contribute at this time?
Getting ready to go to the airport to pick up my brother. I'll be listening.
You got it. Thank you. Lynn, would you like to contribute at this time?
Yeah, the whole, thing that Dr. James was talking about the suicidal ideology. That was interesting because, what I found is most of the people that I'm talking to that are at that level, they don't talk about it at all before that. And I'm talking about those who have made the attempt and either got caught or actually completed their attempt. There was no talking about it prior to it at all. Back when I was 15, I had an attempt myself. And again, I never talked about it. There wasn't a sign. I came with a plan, but I never spoke about it. What signs could I be looking for, Dr. James, that would help me with those people that they've developed a plan, they have the intent, they have a plan in place so they know how to do it, but aren't speaking about it? Is there any telltale signs that we as human beings can see beforehand that when they're not speaking?
What's the context? I mean, where are you when this is happening? It's a very kind of specific question about a very kind of ambiguous, broad. What's the context? Can you give me something in particular?
I do have something to say after Dr. James.
Lynn, could you give Dr. James anything specific, or would you like to hold on to that?
Oh, sorry. I'm talking about in the context of a lot of my CASA girls that are trauma-based.
Is this residential treatment? What's the context? What's the type of care being given? What's the
peer counseling, I guess, would be the best one, Dr. James.
Is it in-house, meaning they live there and they're sort of a captive audience, or is this people who come in voluntarily? What's the severity?
Girls are in juvenile hall, yes.
They're in juvenile hall, okay.
Yeah.
And so you're saying the patients that you have in juvenile hall will come in and they're not talking about the fact that they're feeling suicidal.
Right. And then they make the attempt and either they fail the attempt because they're caught, like, overdose, or they have completed, but there was no signs prior that they let through to me, who they trust immensely and tell a lot of things to. So the fact that they're not sharing that one, I was wondering if there was something that maybe I might be able to look into to do a little better job of catching those before they make the attempt.
Well, I have some thoughts, but I'm feeling very hesitant if they think specifically, because I do not want this to be misconstrued by anyone as sort of the end sort of assessment of the way to do it, because this is a really hairy subject. But essentially, I mean, being able to build like this, the study said, being able to build therapeutic alliance rapport, building trust, to where someone doesn't get to the point where they feel like, they can't speak to you, but building a relationship where perhaps they feel like they can speak to you, I think should not be overlooked as one of the first most obvious things. But in terms of like, breaking down whether someone is going to activate, if you're in a forensic system, then you have access to suicide risk assessments that I would look into in particular and find out what they use at your facility. I would have those on the ready. I would get really familiar with the way they're sort of operationalizing these things and operationalizing risk to protect them, your clients, and to protect yourself. But also because I think it can be really helpful. So for example, if someone comes in and they're telling you about, to what extent, okay, so look, let me just sort of come back to the middle here. Another thing I'm thinking about is impulsivity. I would imagine that many of the clients you have co-occurring diagnoses on record in addition to major depressive disorder. They probably are diagnosed with things like PTSD, complex PTSD, which is a trauma-based PTSD, which they are probably diagnosed, I'm just guessing, with some kind of, we used to call personality disorders, like borderline personality, which usually comes with some impulsivity, some black and white thinking. And so I think there are certain patients that as you get to know them, you will see that they are maybe more high risk as to acting impulsively. And I think there is also a percentage of people who really want to fucking go through with it. And yeah, they're probably not going to talk to you about what's going on. And so you would need a system that supports trying to figure out if they're hoarding their medicine, hoarding anything that they could be used to hurt themselves with. I mean, I just seem like there's so many different ways to look at this thing, and especially within the prison system or a forensic setting. I mean, I think you're right in the sense that the chances of someone feeling hopeless and wanting to do something like that and needing it would be markedly higher than maybe in other areas. And so it just seems like this is a real important question that I would not want to be your sort of final answer with, but more I would, offline, if you ever had something that came up in particular, I would, I to whatever extent I could offer some kind of specific feedback without it being considered therapeutic advice. Maybe I could do that. And then also, I would more recommend you go at your work, you get from this risk assessments and talk to the people within that environment who have a specialty in the forensic population you're working with to actually give you training on this, because anything I'm saying, it could potentially just be off because maybe I'm missing something within the general population of the people you're working with. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to talk around this.
That's perfectly okay, and that was Lynn. I do want to go to Violet, see if Violet wants to contribute, and if not, we have Euro.
Steve, could I quickly?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Let's go to Alfonso, then if Violet wants to talk, then Euro, then Benjamin. Yeah.
Yeah, I came across something not long ago. Might have been Robert Sapolsky in his interviews, or some other article. I'm not sure. I can't cite the source, but I found it really valuable. What they said was there are no actual definite telltale signs of someone who's about to take their lives. Many people who do this seem, joyful and happy, and they've come to terms with life. They've actually come to terms with taking their lives. So you would think, oh, he was doing great. He was, happy. And
That's when they're most.
Sorry.
That's when people can be most at risk because now they can activate.
Exactly. And there's also a medication that is, I think, being questioned and not being. I can't remember the name of it exactly.
It's one of the bipolar meds that lifts people up. I know, not Elavil. I know.
Yeah. So what it does is, it lifts, it elevates people, and so if someone has suicidal ideations, taking this medication gives them the impulse, the motivation to go through with it. And so I think it's important. I know someone lost her husband to suicide, and it's just next to impossible to actually say, this person will go through with this. So that, this to kind of give us peace in the sense that we're not to blame when someone is going through such a harsh moment and actually decides to take their lives. But yeah, according to this article or something that I can't cite right now, I wish I'd saved it. I might have somewhere. It was probably 3 months ago or so. It said that you really cannot give.
Violet, would you like to contribute at this? Oh, I thought
that was pretty much. You can't really tell for sure that someone will go through with it.
Thank you. Violet, would you like to contribute? Excuse me? I'll see you later, yes. Or you can talk later, yes. Violet, would you like to contribute? Or are you good?
I just wanted to finish by saying that while I found AI helpful for introspection, I felt it wasn't until I found Clubhouse and started meeting friends and making connections with real people that, and also mental health therapy and all that, but Clubhouse, real people. I can definitely understand the importance of real people, and I'm glad to be here with you guys this morning.
Thank you, Happy. Again, what would you like to talk about? Euro going once, Euro going twice. Yes.
I don't really have much to say. I just wanted to thank you for this forum that you put together, and agree with the people that were saying how great it is, and I'm glad that we have it. I don't have a particular topic to say, so I'll just say thanks.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for the compliments. Benjamin, you're up. What would you like to talk about?
Oh, I came across a really fun medical paper, tax funded. You paid for this. And I thought I would take the liberty of reading for less than 60 seconds.
You may read anything for less than 60 seconds, yes.
This is science. This is science. You have a scientist, at least one, if not 17. In the experts, this is their expertise. This is science. I'm going to read science. Everybody prepared? Glaciers. This is science about glaciers. Is everybody excited about glaciers? This was first published in January 10, 2016. It was funded. I don't have access to the full article because, of course, even though I paid for it with taxes, it's behind a paywall. But this isn't about glaciers. This is science about glaciers. So everybody stay in their seats, get interested about glaciers. And science, actually, it's called Glaciers, Gender, and Science, a feminist glaciology framework for global environmental change research. Here's the abstract. Glaciers are key icons of climate change and global environmental change. However, the relationship among gender, science, and glaciers, particularly related to epistemological questions about the productions of glaciological knowledge, remain understudied. This paper thus proposes a feminist glaciology framework with 4 key components. 1. Knowledge producers. 2. Gendered science and knowledge. 3. Systems of scientific domination. 4. Alternative representation of glaciers. Merging feminist post-colonial science studies and feminist political ecology, the feminist glaciology framework generates robust analysis of gender, power, and epistemologies in dynamic sociological systems, thereby leading to more just and equitable science and human-ice interactions. So I don't know the conclusion of this study, because I can't read it because it's behind a paywall, even though I paid for it. But if you're wondering when you pay taxes every year what your money is going to, it is going to study gendered glacier research. And that's amazing. And Steve, I was realizing that you don't have a feminist glaciologist in the panel of experts. So there's an open position for an expert on feminine glaciology.
Well,
Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. I want to go to Daryl, who's Daryl, thank you for doing the heavy lifting. Did you want to contribute at this time, Daryl?
Only briefly. In high school, I actually knew 2 people who had attempted suicide, and there was another senior in high school who actually, committed suicide. I don't know if that's the right phrase or not, but what I did learn, because I went to Catholic school and, it's a very close community, so things like that are taken very seriously. But what I did learn is that, to echo what Dr. James had said, that I think the people that go through with it, I don't know that there are a lot of warning signs. It's been said, and Dr. James can, slap my head if I'm wrong, but it's been said that the people who attempt in other ways, it could be considered like a plea for help in some ways. It's interesting. I'm not making any sense, but that resonated with me because of my senior year.
Steve, can I go next?
Thank you very much, Daryl. Okay, Hero, you can take a couple of minutes.
I was just going to, if it's okay, I was going to answer Benjamin's
Is it Hero or Hero?
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you said
No, who said, Steve, can I go next?
Dave, me.
Dave. Okay, Dave, you could take a couple of minutes, and then was it Euro or Hero that started talking?
Thank you. So,
Dave, hold on. Dave, hold on. Was it Euro or
Yeah.
Euro that started talking?
Yeah, I apologize.
So Dave, you can have a few minutes, and then Euro. Go ahead, Dave.
okay, good. So, about Goodwill Hunting 1997, right? So, in 2025, I work on AI. So I can exactly understand what, from the AI perspective, what is Goodwill Hunting 1997, the dialogue between Robin Williams and Mark Dimon, right? So basically, Mark Dimon is like a very good search engine. He has all the knowledge base. He can quote all the things about books that he has read. But Robin Williams criticized him back. But you don't have personal empathy toward what you read because you have not been there. You have never been in love. You never come across situation where somebody has to commit suicide, and whatever you have read, you can't apply to that person. So in 2025, we are now at the state of AI, where people are still have to attempt to how to incorporate those personal information, like what Dr. James said about. It is, and also what I think Violet asked, what kind of information that has to be incorporated into an AI chatbot in order to prevent somebody commit suicide? Why am I talking about this? Because back in 2021, when there was a height of COVID variant Delta, there was a New York journalist written a lot about grieving. There are a lot of people, close one died, so grieving is a key topic. And that was 2021, but somehow I promised her that I will come up with a solution called AI for grieving. And 2023, I promote the concept of AI for compassion. And it seemed like there's a study in Harvard, because a lot of time people just need to spend time with the doctor, and the doctor have to just talk to them, but doctor don't have so much time, and so people don't get really, help a lot. So if AI could just even take over some of the role of talking to the patient, it would already give some sense of compassion, and based on the survey, people prefer that and give a high score when AI is able to take over some of the role. But the biggest thing is, we need not just chatbot for one-to-one patient. We need a whole society to deliver that positive impact. And therefore, that's why I'm working. Even though I talk a lot about religion, but my research is AI for society of compassion. And I believe Judaism, based on what I learned recently, provides some of the input. And I stop here, but basically, if you next time want to talk about AI, I could help to contribute what is feasible, what is not feasible.
Dave, thank you. Euro, you're next. Feel free to have a couple of minutes to talk about whatever you want.
Okay, well, I'm also very interested in AI and do some research, so I would love to hear whatever Dave wants to contribute later. But to Benjamin's comments about this fascinating glacier study, so I have seen the paper, and the paper is available online, and because he was interested in knowing the conclusions.
You read the conclusions, which Benjamin did not really read.
That's correct.
Tell us what the conclusions said.
Oh, okay, sure. So there's four, I would say, main conclusions. One is that glaciology is socially embedded. Two, that the current glacier knowledge is dominated by masculinist Western paradigms. Three, that incorporating feminist insights can enrich climate science. And four, alternative glacial narratives matter. And there's a short paragraph here I can read. A feminist glaciology framework helps reveal how gender power structures shape glacier knowledge production, and how marginalized voices, especially indigenous and local, can and should be included in scientific discourse. This results in a richer, more just, and socially grounded understanding of environmental change. So that's just a brief summary of the conclusions. If you look at the full paper, the conclusions is, let me see, I think it's like a whole page, but that gives you basically
fine.
Yeah. But I know he was concerned because he paid for it, because he's a taxpayer, so at least in part, and the paper is available online.
Believe me, Benjamin doesn't give a rat's ass about glaciology. What he cares about is that science is bullshit.
Oh, I see. Well, the abstract, is always available, so it's not really fair to say that, like, you don't know the conclusions because it's summed up in the abstract as well. But the authors have made themselves available, and, it has extensive references and footnotes and citations for what it's worth.
Thank you.
Uncle Steve, I got a question.
Yeah.
If Benjamin is alone, speaking in the woods and there's no one there to hear it, is he still talking about the same things?
That is a great question to ponder during the break, which is going to be up in 5 minutes. Would anybody on stage who has not spoken in the past half hour or so like to contribute?
No, I would if that's okay.
Sure, just say your first. Is it Brent? Yes, please, Brent. Go ahead.
So, kind of two things. Going back a little while, Dr. James, first kind of comment was that people with greater cognitive ability might be more kind of detached from the kind of moral structures, and that kind of makes sense to me. I mean, obviously somebody like Nietzsche was highly intelligent, and I think questioning kind of the structures of society might require more cognitive ability. That said, it's kind of highly dangerous as far as the society as a whole, and one of the reasons why this kind of breakdown of social
Sorry to interrupt. Please refresh my memory. What is dangerous?
Yeah, the kind of elites kind of detaching themselves or questioning the moral foundations of a society. So the biggest one would be like Nietzsche questioning the relevance of Christianity and the relevance of not just kind of achieving power. And I would say that that's dangerous because when you do that, or it causes a tremendous amount of instability, and I think we're seeing that. And the way you kind of counter that is, frankly, get more people into more of these socially norming places like church, etc., and that. And I think that's a kind of a dangerous tell. The other thing, going back to this science thing, that study does sound silly, but I would argue that, not necessarily who spoke about that, but on a wider level, kind of, we should be funding more, more studies that take risk. I think if you look at academia as a whole, and federal funding, there's so much grant writing and non kind of risk averse studies, and the reason why is because people like the previous speaker will get a microphone and say, hey, look at this study, this shows how this is representative of everything, this shows what your tax money is going to, we shouldn't be funding that, when in reality so much basic research is so important in things like pharmaceutical, things like space flight, and other just basic drivers of our advancement in humanity, where there isn't yet a profit motive. And I think when you kind of look at the scientific academy, pre-60s, 70s, and now, one of the reasons why we're not making as many, or at least I would argue one of the reasons why we're not making as many leaps forward is the demagoguery of basic research. And
you dropped out. We're hello. You dropped out.
Hello, can you
dropped out? We're not making as many what?
Just basic advancements. It's because we kind of demagogue basic research because taxpayers might fund a silly study every now and again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. 2 hours in the tank and 1 hour left. It's time for the top of the hour break again, and good morning, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ask the Atheist with the Mod Squad. I have assembled the best Mod Squad in the history of Clubhouse. They have a wide variety of fields of expertise and knowledge. Everybody is encouraged to be bold, brave, courageous. Come on up and talk about whatever you want. God, religion, current events, politics, glaciers, suicide. We started off talking about it's the 100-year and 2-day anniversary of the Scopes trial. I am going to be taking what I think is a well-deserved break.
Is that it's a standard studio. You have an oversized bathroom. You have an oversized kitchen. The living area does have a loft bed, but the next buyer could take out that loft bed and just make
somebody drop that
kind of
crazy
square rectangle.
motherfucker that the dude is talking right now.
Yeah, so that could come out. It has a lot of storage underneath. That's why the owner.
Thank you for dropping his ass. Like at the end of the day, the Democrats are complicit too, because these so-called people who are supposed to be lobbying for us didn't do shit to stop any of this. Like this whole Biden thing dropping out halfway through the race. This thing with Trump running against two women. You notice he ran against Hillary, a woman. He ran against Kamala, a woman. This whole thing is a setup. This whole thing was put into place to turn down the whole market so that Bitcoin and all that can thrive. They're making money worthless. They turn the economy down on purpose. It's the great destroy and rebuild. It's the great reset. This is what the fuck is going on. They don't give a fuck about people right now. They give a fuck about profits. It's always been what it is. Like if you notice right now, when COVID-19 came out, it opened up the door for work at home, working remotely. It opened up the door to roll out AI. It opened up the door to find other solutions to humans. So now they're doing it again. But I'm saying this, the population now, they look at it like we don't need you anymore. We got AI and robots to do your job, so how can we kill you motherfuckers? We're going to kill you by dropping your health care. We're going to kill you to make it where you can't afford to eat anymore because shit is so fucking high and you're not making enough money to sustain. The rent is too damn high, like that old man used to say. You got AI to turn
Truck, hold on, a couple questions. You're saying a lot. So is the market up or down since Trump took office?
The market is, let me say this. The market is being controlled by Trump with this tariff shit, where you keep saying you're going to institute tariffs on these countries and then you renege.
Okay.
So every time, hold on, I'm going to tell you how it is. You asked me about the market, let me answer it for you. You was the one who said, Trump, you're going to establish tariffs on these countries, making the markets go down every time you announce that shit, only to renege on it and make it go back up once you renege on it. Because once they see you don't do it, that's market control.
That's true.
So you are controlling the market.
Okay, Truck, that's true. Okay, but next question, is the crypto market up or down?
Crypto market is going up.
Okay, and man, what has happened with inflation?
Inflation is through the roof.
No, it's gone down. It's gone down. It's gone down.
To who? Let me ask you this.
I'm talking about by statistics.
I'm asking you.
Let me finish. Truck, let me make my bigger point, then you can respond. Okay, so Truck, I'm not saying this to like push back on you and say how great Trump is, but you're just like all over the place, right? And if you're gonna say like he's here to crash the market and all this, well, I mean, I just need to see it show up. So can you just have what your points you're making? Can you just provide your evidence for the points you're making? That's all.
I can if I don't get cut off. That's the thing. When people are talking, you cut them off. They can't control their thoughts. My whole point of what I'm saying to you with this whole manipulation thing is this. You keep using statistics, and I get it. You got statistics. But I'm going off what people in real life are going through. Even in this room, let's go off the statistics of this room. Let's just talk for that. How many of you in this room, put a 1 in the chat if you think inflation is through the roof, put a 2 in the chat if you don't think it is.
Inflation is not through the roof, sir.
Okay, so you don't think $2,000 a month in a rural area for an apartment is not through the roof? You don't think unaffordable rent that's controlled by AI determining who can afford what isn't through the roof? You don't think the food prices, hold on, let me say this. You don't think the homelessness, you don't think that people going to the grocery suffering, coming home with 2 and 3 bags for $100, is it fucking inflation?
You sound like Trump. This is how Trump won. He made your emotional argument instead of using data.
No, I'm going off real life, bro. You're going off. I'm not going off of Bloomberg. I'm not going off of Bloomberg report.
This is what Trump said he was doing.
I'm not going off. I gotta yell over this motherfucker.
You're taking his exact.
You heard this cocksucker yelling and you telling me to stop?
Stop. Chill out. The inflation is down, okay?
Inflation is not down. If you look at your life right now, you're paying more for everything you have. Everything. But you're telling me inflation is down. How, Sway? How is inflation down?
The rate of inflation.
How is inflation down when mortgages are running through the roof?
They can tell you.
No, I can yell cocksucker because I want to, bitch. I can do what the fuck I want to do. Suck my motherfucking dick, bitch ass nigga.
Nobody's yelling at you, sir. You can talk. It's okay.
Alright, I did it. He can come back up if he has some level of cordiality. Just a little bit. I just need a little bit.
And I wasn't even trying to talk to you, brother. Just not a good listen. Well, he had made a few good points, and the drinking of that Kool-Aid has got a Jim Crew's idea at food drinker Jim Jones' Kool-Aid. They're selling you a brand of politics that, unlike anything that's happened in the history of America or the world, it's a monarchy, and they're right on that No King's Day idea. They haven't yet to show me anywhere where make America great again. What specifically? When specifically? When specifically are they talking about in the history when they say make America great again?
I invited Trump back up that way.
Is it Civil War, post-Civil War? Is it pre-World War I, post-Vietnam? When the hell are they talking about in history? They have never been specific about that. Because I think they want to date you back to a time when the African people, when the melanated people were picking cotton on a plantation for free. You must have said it. There's every goddamn thing to do what I'm talking about. I mean, what's been done with the goddamn Eric Prince. I'm gonna land. You're changing the time. I'm gonna land on Eric Prince. And that guy is the guy that said he wants to take you back and go and recolonize somewhere in Africa and bring colonialism back to America. So I'm gonna land with that because I know them, and if you see otherwise, then I'm open to a discussion on it, an intelligent discussion for it. Jesus.
Keep interrupting people when they say the real shit, because what he said was real. But y'all want to interrupt it because you don't like what he said. And that's part of being juvenile, when you interrupt people who have a different train of thought than you. And that's what you motherfucking Trump supporters do. Because
We're not Trump supporters.
It's hurting your feelings. Because at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. I'm going off real. I'm going off real. Hold on. Let me say it.
We're not Trump supporters, brother. You're in the wrong room. If you're looking for the Trump support room, this ain't it.
No, but I'm saying this.
Hold on.
You wonder why? Yeah, because you keep talking over me.
Go to healthy debates. This ain't it.
REF, huh? Oh, you're gonna call the police? Uh-oh.
He has absolutely no emotion.
What are you gonna tell him? That I'm recording? That I have YouTube and Instagram like everybody else? Oh, hey, what are they gonna do?
But you know what? CEO Trump didn't do nothing special that made inflation go down. So let's not.
Oh, I agree.
That's all. Inflation's only down because of fucking the pandemic. We're just starting to catch up with the supply and all this other shit. So
I agree. We also should say it's the rate of inflation that went down. It's like things don't actually they didn't go backward. It just the rate went down.
Right, but he's gonna sit around and take credit and pretend that it's all him.
Exactly.
Don't have
because in fairness, it goes up and down anyway. So Patty's right. We're coming out of the on the downside of the pandemic, and it's starting to regulate.
I'm certainly going to work my way around to address that inflation. But the point I was attempting to make earlier was that I watched the Kool-Aid drinkers in the person of Mitch McConnell out of Kentucky. He said it was the worst thing during that insurrection. I'm standing on the ground and watching Mitch McConnell, and they were like panicking for their life. They said it was say it's a bunch of hypocrites in power. They're corrupted, and they're mostly all tied to some form of pedophilia and etc. Not just Epstein alone, but just the sneaky little shit that I know they do on Capitol Hill to these page boys, etc. And I'll land my plane just on the facts that type of hypocrisy and drinking that form of social political Kool-Aid should have ended in America before Trump got in office the first time. But they want to continue with it, and we, the righteous people, just stand back and allow it. They can do no more to us than we allow them to do. And I'll be picking up my mantle or anything else necessary to fight these no good bastards. And I'll land my plane with the facts as I know them to be. And my. I'll be back on inflation, my.
Thank you, brother ambassador, and I do agree with some of that.
Thank you for allowing me to say those few syllables, sir. My.
Thank you.
Keep an eye on those arrests, posing as senators and congressmen, and we should rat them out and sort them out, expose them, and push them on down. Have them to kick the beer can down the road for a change, my mind.
And you know what's so crazy is how they drive me to go for opinion, bro. That's how much you trigger people. I'm saying that the Democrats are responsible too, though. It ain't just Trump. That's where somebody put it in the chat and said that I'm a Democrat. No, I'm not. I'm not either one. I personally think it's a game being played on the American people by both sides. And I'm surprised that some of you are falling for that shit. Because it wouldn't be this situation if both sides didn't work together to create that. Don't think that in closed doors, these Congress people that are in Congress and in these corporations aren't working together for the end result we have right now. And that's these corporations that are the 1% controlling the 99. And the way we do that is to make your mind focus on the optics that don't mean shit. You're focusing on all the optics that don't mean shit. Meanwhile, we're taking away what little rights you had. We're taking that shit away even further.
So Trump
away bit by bit. And here comes the cutoff, as usual. Let me just get my thought out. Y'all can have it. I ain't got to say nothing else. I was just asking you a question.
Truck, there is interaction allowed.
Yeah, nobody interrupts anybody but me. That's what I'm saying.
You do as a real life, Truck.
No, but you love to trigger me. That's the whole game, is the trigger.
No, it's not.
And you're not.
We were just trying to ask you a question.
Can I just get my thought out like normal people do and then ask me questions?
All right, land in 30 seconds.
No, you're not going to tell me 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Well, in 30 seconds, you'll be muted. Go ahead.
I don't understand why people can't engage with you, brother. We understand you don't know who you're talking to. So we understand what it is that you're saying. And, for a good portion of that, we agree with what you're talking about. We're just trying to ask you questions people do during dialogues. So that's all we're trying to do is ask you
I'm
questions.
receptive to questions being asked, but I gotta finish my thought. I don't know.
What I'm saying is that this is not a monologue. That doesn't mean that we're trying to derail your thought. There are people on stage who are
You're not gonna talk the whole damn day. That's it. You've been having this long ass dialogue, like it's
so I got on here 15 minutes talking, he got it interrupted. See what I'm saying? The hypocrisy in that.
3-4 days ago, I told that this room is MAGA and they are supporters of Trump. And they come in like you.
It's Trump and Quinn right now. Trump and Quinn.
I just ask you, in all your submission, what do you think is a solution? How do you think we should approach that?
The solution would be if the American people realize what's getting played and understand your real power. Your only real power is your money and where you spend it at and where you patronize it at. And what's going on right now is these companies and corporations, no matter how much AI you do, no matter how much robotic plans you have to take away jobs, you still have to have consumers to keep the product going. You still have to have people purchase. So people realize my power is in who I give my money to. Meaning, like when you look at Target, for an example, and I ain't trying to make this a race thing at all, but I'm just saying, When they decided with the DEI initiative to do what they did, and then the customer said, we're going to stop going in there that were black, mainly black patrons, and we're not going in there, Target's bottom line fell to hell, which means there's power in the money. So now you got Target trying to get Kay Sinat, I don't know how to say his name, as a spokesman to try to win black people back. End of the day is this, and this ain't exclusive to just black people, it's anyone. Where you spend your dollars at determines how people are going to treat you. If you cut them off and you stop patronizing these companies, corporations, whether it be Amazon, whether it be Walmart, but most people are so used to the convenience of what Amazon is doing as far as their packages coming, that they don't care that there's robots taking people's jobs. They don't care about that. They just want that package on their porch. But when there's no money for people to buy those packages on the porch, the corporations suffer. So I'm saying that to say this. If people banded together against this whole Democrat-Republican format that is fucking us all on both sides, I don't care if it's Joe Biden, I don't care if it's Trump, I don't care if it's both sides of the aisle in the Congress, they're not for the people, but the people make this shit go round. We the people, that's the first 3 words of the shit. We the people. We control this shit. But somehow we've made government seem like a robot. This is people. We the people control that shit, or should, but we've become sheep because we're so focused on all of the fucking side shows. All of the side shows got to distract from the main event. So one, you got to band together. One, you got to understand there has to be a new system put in place somehow. The current one isn't working anymore. Democracy is done. That shit's out the window. That shit is out the window. So now, as a people, what do you want? Do you want to be controlled by a tyranny society? What is it that you want as a people? We got to come to some kind of an agreement. Because right now we're distracted by all the wrong shit. We keep getting played by both sides.
I can't hear him anymore. Is he okay about?
I think he was having some technical problems. Well, I don't know about y'all, but I don't really know what to fucking say to that.
I do. I want to say one thing. As a Palestinian that just got back from Palestine 10 months ago, I haven't been in the US for 10 years. We just stepped into a fascist state, and we just failed ourselves with this recent election because people didn't know what to do or who to choose, and it's up to America and the people of America to see what's really there, you know, and to know who they're voting for, because people all over the world are oppressed based off of the decisions that happen here on the floor. And here in America, it's so easy to be censored, banned, shadow banned, to be like, oh, that's not my responsibility. It's like all a distraction to say, hey, you're not responsible for this, but really, we just need to educate ourselves, because we just stepped into a fascist state. Everyone is that fucking state right now. Every community, everyone is being attacked. Everyone is like being oppressed. Everyone needs to like step up. And there's this book, The Message, with Ta-Nehisi. He's a black American who speaks to the black community, and to say, guys, we can't fail ourselves again. We can't let this system freaking like do what they've been doing. And so like we're actually shattering this by the truth that we talk about every single day. Don't sleep on this.
And what was Ta-Nehisi Coates? What was this in context? What was this in reference to?
Saying that he's visited Palestine. He talks about the Jewish voice. He talks about the Black African community, the Black American and African community. He talks about like how we're supposed to connect to who we really are in our culture, and not have this American system say that we're. I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm losing words right now. But like, as someone who just left and came back, it is so sad to come see like how people are communicating and trying to understand what's happening, because there's so much censorship and shadow ban, and it's like distractions like Love Island and like all these like entertainment or sexual chaos and lust for people to just minimize what's happening. But in reality, we're in shit. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, you're right. It's just distractions. And if you notice, whenever there's anything major happening, there's a distraction to take your mind off what is going on. Even when it comes to bills being passed that are overshadowed by Diddy trials and Epstein shit. You know what I mean? Things that affect everyone. That half of the people that are so-called leaders of us in the Congress didn't even read the fucking bill at all.
Hold on, wait 1 second. I don't mean to cut you off. I want to say that I am not another rioter in the making. This is a person who speaks truth. I came back because I'm an American citizen, and as of now, I have to think about my mental health. Like, I have the opportunity to be here. Who's this MC with American flag? Like, the fact that you're still waving an American flag is actually quite concerning, to be honest. You're in a fashion.
Ma'am, just focus on you, whatever you want to say. Don't pay attention to people in the chat.
Yeah, okay.
I will say though, the American flag is supposed to represent us all though. As much as it's fucked up, it is our America. I know I got family that died for this shit. My father was in the military. You know what I mean? I got a lot of military family. I never say fuck America, none of that shit. Because this is where I've always lived. This is where I grew up at. My family grew. Of course, I'm a ride for America. But what's going on right now is we're being played by corporations and companies. We got I forget how many. We got Bezos, we got Buffett, you know, we got Bill Gates, we got Zuckerberg, we got a handful of
the Rothschilds.
We've got these people controlling the whole world. That 1%, I believe it might be 12 or 13 of them that make more than the whole rest of the United States combined. That is a problem. But at the end of the day, the whole trick is to make you feel like what you say has no power, to make you feel powerless. So we can do anything to you and you have no fight in you. You have nothing in you. We're going to just do whatever to you and there's nothing you can do to stop it. That's what American people have to stand up, which I don't personally see happening. I see people who go out and protest and do that shit, but right now they're even trying to make that illegal to the point where they can militarize you and lock you up for that and do whatever to you. So the freedom of speech. Hold on, last thing I'm gonna say is this. Like she said a minute ago, you're being shadow banned, you're being censored, you're being dropped to the goo when people got different opinions. You got people right now who can't even dialogue because they're so stuck in their own ideology. I don't have an ideology on a political party other than both of them are full of shit. Has been forever. And I'm not gonna single Trump out because the elections have always been full of shit. We can see that when we watched George W. Bush win and there was votes floating in the river when he was going against Al Gore. All of this shit is a big ass play. Who can we put in right now to implement what we want done? Don't think that there are Democratic people right now who support what Trump is doing. There are Democrats out there in the Congress right now who know exactly what he's doing and are benefiting from it.
So let me say this, brother. So I'm just saying this as a precursor. I know that a lot of the people on the stage haven't been talking, and that's kind of been, very honestly, because you've kind of been sucking up a lot of the air. But there's a lot of people.
You know to tell me what I'm doing.
So I'm saying this. I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just saying
but
that.
You are, you bitch ass nigga. You are. Then you wonder why I scream on.
So what I'm saying.
Then you wonder why I scream on your faggot ass.
Okay, that's fine. So what I'm saying, brother.
You can't speak like that. You can't
call anybody. It's freedom of speech. I can say whatever the fuck I want to say. I can call him a bitch ass nigga because I just nobody wants to hear all that. But I did. So that's the power of the fuck him. And fuck you got a problem with it.
You can politely win.
And I can also say fuck you. That's that. You wasn't
Truck, you know me, bro. Hold on for 1 second, y'all. Truck, how long you know me, bro?
Yeah, he's gone.
Do me a favor, like I could have talked that down, you know me.
Nah, but listen, but honestly though, that's not even the point.
You bring him up and talk to him, but I'm gonna tell you, he keep calling men bitch ass niggas.
That's not the space, man. He actually is intelligent dude. I guess he just get worked up.
Well, no, what it is that if I would have got a chance to finish, and I don't give a fuck about motherfuckers calling you bitch ass nigga, like who, I don't even know this cat. So, but what I was trying to tell him is that the people on the stage are very intelligent. There's a collective of intelligent people here. There's no reason for him to rehash the position and the status of the United States of America.
There's no
If he
reason
just simply paid
what I'm
attention,
saying, bro.
and I said that the people on the stage hadn't been talking, so he doesn't really understand that. But if he knows who these people are, we can move on to a different segment of the conversation.
Who are you to edit the conversation how you want?
I'm not. I'm not
You
going
trying to edit it how you want it, bro.
I'm not trying to edit it, my brother. But
Yes,
I'm
you
telling
are,
you
bro.
that you are. No, because I don't need no help. So then just a second. Because he has to learn how to participate.
I don't have to
in
learn shit,
conversations,
bitch
not my
ass
fault.
nigga. That's the
So, but
difference.
the bottom line is,
I don't have
if
to learn
we're going to participate in
I don't have to learn shit from
everybody
you,
is,
cocksucker.
like we really gotta.
I don't have to learn shit from you, cocksucker.
You don't. You don't.
You nobody. Who in the fuck are you?
It's nobody at all. So
You're nobody.
I'm saying it.
You have no fucking power
What is it? We're doing a conversation. Go ahead.
Hey, Trot, when did you change your name recently?
Yeah, I changed my name. It's too many people on here trolling and shit. Yeah, I changed my name.
I know you changed your name. I recognize you guys. Look, can you do me a favor, Brody? We have known each other for a minute, man. Like, this stage is different than a lot of the stages where they troll and shit. Like, we really try to have an educational conversation, and we attack the points, not the people, man. Can you do me that favor?
I've been doing that favor. I keep getting interrupted by that cocksucker. That's why I'm angry right now. Because that cocksucker cuts me off every time I talk, bro. He does that shit.
So what's been happening is he hasn't.
I respect you, Gemini. I respect you, Gemini. I respect you, Gemini, for the telling to do.
And what he doesn't realize is that people on stage,
no, I realize
the things that he's talking about, and we're trying to ask him questions.
I don't even want to talk.
Advance the conversation.
Let's do it this way. I respect you too, man. If you can do me the favor of just don't even focus on him, contribute your point, and we'll hear it out.
I've been making my point, and he interrupted.
Hold on, dog.
And Quinn, Gemini, Trump has given his submissions. He doesn't stop to allow a dialogue.
Y'all interrupt me on purpose because you don't agree. You don't agree, so you interrupt me. That's what these people do.
You don't know if they
you have a different opinion than you interrupt
enough to hear something.
That's what you do.
He doesn't stop long enough to hear him talk, which is why he probably end up in the audience.
Y'all got it. Fuck y'all. Y'all got it. Fuck y'all.
So he's just too emotionally strong.
We have a this is a great time to plug the next session coming up. We have a Black Men Speak session coming up soon, where they're going to be talking about men's mental health and other.
It is what it is.
The question is it at y'all house today?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so we're going to share y'all house at the top.
I removed him because he called her a bitch. Like, we can't do that. Like, I don't care how upset you are.
But here's the thing, though, Gemini. When you and I invite you to do this too. When you coming in, like he would, like Deborah said, he wouldn't stop talking. What we were trying to do is engage him in conversation. So his whatever he was trying to do, he was the cause of the dissension. So we were trying to at least engage him to reel him in, but he has no emotional intelligence whatsoever. He just keeps talking. He considers people trying to engage him as being disruptive.
And through all of the disrespect, no one ever cursed him.
At all.
I was going to try to see if I could get back to it.
We usually jump back. Nobody even jumped back on it.
I just been trying to get into a normal dialogue because I know, like, he does have a lot to contribute, but the way it was going right now, that was about the, I can't tolerate disrespect. That's because that's a friend. Like, I can't do that,
The link is at the top, y'all. Join the club so you can get notifications when they have their room.
Can I just say to Ulrike that we talk about the Palestinian girls that she comes to the situation of Palestine?
They take care of peace on the shot. All what is Israel is doing is a genocide there. They use American power and American taxpayer to doing this fucking genocide. Online, live, for all of us. And if someone from there he come to speak about and tell us about it, and he talk about she left her problem and she come to fix the problem in the United States, because the United States government that they are corrupted, that they are blackmailed with Epstein and all the shit and Pizzagate, all the shit is fucked up all our life, because after Second World War, a new world order, it's been imposed. It was America is an empire, and all the country follow same order. So what we're living now, it's a mess. Then the CIA and all the shit happened after Second World War. So don't take a piece of people if they come in to complain about the foreign policy, American foreign policy, that it's been corrupted in some kind of how with Epstein and blackmailing the political people and people in power. Thank you. I'm learning.
And that's the problem with I mean, I don't mean to rehash this, but that's the problem because it's relevant to what we're talking about right now. But that's what it disrupts good conversation and then focus and then redirects the focus. And now nobody even knows what to talk about because it disrupts the good conversation and derails it derails a good conversation and focuses on a person, centers a person.
Yes, I believe you're right. But on the string, I promised I would return to some stats on inflation. And the best inflation barometer I found, I got from my parents. I'm 72 years old, and I got from my parents the barometer to use on the economy and inflation is the grocery counter, what you pay at the grocery, and what you pay at the gas and diesel pumps. I did put an article in the chat that it's like you have the encyclopedia, and they have all typepedias, and this is the investmentpedia is a fairly good source. I've used this source, at least it's only been out a short while from the social media to complement the encyclopedia, etc. But the idea is that I think it's off the chart because when the gas price shifts, it's a sign of inflation. That you see gas prices right now are slightly going upwardly. Before, I think Barack Hussein Obama had maintained the gas price at about $2.50. Trump maintained it about $2.52, and then when it leans up to $3, the inflationary price is reflected in the gasoline because you have to transport. See, I've been a longshoreman. You can bring me all the food that you got, but if I don't move that shit as a longshoreman, and if I can't get the teamsters to pick it up in the trucks and the trains, then you're done. You just got wet lettuce, wet, rotten lettuce, if you can understand the symbolism. So there you have it. It's just real talk for real people. We approached the whole Biden administration to find a ceiling price on fossil fuels. We saw it getting a little bit out of hand with Joe Biden and them. The other thing is that when you go back to Carter Day and all that, there was $4, $5, $6 gas. If you go as far as Los Angeles, you find the gas price. And they had no control of the economy because it didn't influence the ceiling price on the fossil fuel. You have to ship that food by diesel. Clothing, automobiles have to be shipped by diesel prices. You got to face those facts so you can see the reality. So it has moved upwardly. So there is the danger of inflation. When it threatens the market, it moves the gas price. And your grocer, then the food is reflected for what you pay the grocer is reflected in the diesel fuel price. And what it takes to move that train, to take those containers with your broccoli and your asparagus and etc. in it, to get that to the grocer is the battle. And Trump has been bad for the economy this time around. He was better. Trump 1 was fairly okay on the economy. Trump 2 is a nightmare. And don't forget had to be. There was no inertia, no automatic pilot on the COVID. It had to be delivered in order for us to get that in. And for the melanated people had numbers, they said 50,000, by the way, 50,000 of our people on record as being killed by the COVIDs in record time. And I said if it was record time, then we were the target all the time. And I land my plane on Job Corps and these museums and the other dirt that he's done to address the title in the room. It is his return to so-called Jim Crow. But the first Jim Crow was done by his predecessor, Andrew Johnson, who was again the he vetoed all the policies that were going to make progress for the black melanated people. So I land my plane on these facts, and we don't want that form of apartheid, whether it comes from Elon Musk or Donald Trump. They're both whistleblowers, and they should be managed as such. My.
To a soggy rat, the second is just water.
Can we get a room reset? Like, I mean, like in the words of motherfuckers, like,
keep going.
No, sir. Please. We appreciate your contribution, brother. I just was asking for a room reset, that's all.
So we're talking about making America great again. Shout out to Jim Crow. So like with these bills, these executive orders, what's going on with deportation? Yeah, it's only been, 6 months? Life is great. Let me go ahead and look up an article real quick and maybe we can have a conversation on that.
Well, Patty, basically we have a basic problem here. At least in a shop, the link of very, very great book. I hope that all of you going to have a look at this book. Its name is Legal Action.
Don't vote.
It is mental to fix up.
These F-words don't vote. They're just wingmen. These liberal F-words don't vote. They're just wingmen.
I know he's supposed to be meeting with the NATO Secretary General. I'm trying to see if I can find anything right. Yeah.
So, good afternoon, good morning. It's been extremely entertaining this last couple of days. I've been on the floor laughing. These are entertaining.
You're just as
man.
Sorry.
Yeah. I get crazy.
Just so you know.
In situations, I get kind of crazy. Y'all showed him more grace than y'all showed me. Y'all cursing got in 30 seconds. What's going on with that? But I'm gonna say this. Trump is about to make a major announcement tomorrow about the Russia situation. Yeah, I think it's pretty bad. But,
yeah, it is.
All of it is interconnected. All of it.
Yeah, I agree. I think
we're facing world-changing order, in case you guys. So this whole war in UK, Russia, Palestine, whatever, everything that's happening, it's world-changing order. So like the U.S. reserve currency the reserve currency has been the U.S. for so fucking long, and as of now, like the elections that we had faced and everything, actually Trump was supposed to be out of chair, but the only thing that saved him was this crypto techno world. So that's why Elon Musk is in there. So actually, it's like this economic war between who's the strongest and who's better. China or the U.S. and in between is all of like these wars that they profit off of. So they're profiting off of the war in Gaza. They're profiting off of the war in Ukraine. The U.S. is gaining money that way. They're profiting off of the protests. It's like these things are done intentionally for us to face the chaos, and it's a rise of divide and conquer between the Arabs and the Muslims. I mean, the Jews and the Arabs. It's a rise in between the black and the white. It's a rise between the Hispanic and whatever. It's like they're creating more racism between us. So this fight that he said he was laughing on the floor, of course it's fine, because like we're all fools because we're giving them the power by acting like this. Like the power is within us and how much you educate yourself. So like, I'm just trying to find a group where people know things. So anyways, that's what I have to say.
So, yeah, right. But I just think what's the. I mean, people are worried about. You know, the biggest issue right now is for me is trying to calm down the situation between the United States and Russia right now, and with the uptick of Russia going all in on Ukraine in the last 4 or 5 days, and this major announcement tomorrow, we know that, you know, here's the thing, in my mind, Trump said he's going to make peace with Putin, right? And he's free, you know, whatever, that's great. But, you know, here's the bad side. When you got like you know, Putin is Putin, and you got somebody like Trump, who's like an egotistical maniac, you know, whatever, in the hot head sometimes. If they kind of bump heads and get into like a real, you know, spat in the feud, you know, it's not going to be good. So, you know, I'm very interested in what's going to happen tomorrow. And you know, unfortunately, like this too, older men are the most dangerous men on earth. They don't have a lot to live for, and when you have world leaders like Trump, so he's knocking at the door, Putin is knocking at the door, fighting too. The Chinese got to, you know, unfortunately, you know, human history has a history, right, of wars. I mean, that's just a huge.
Do you think that Trump wants a weaker dollar so you know, there's been talks about that to boost exports? Like, I don't know if he's doing this purposely, but he is weakening the dollar.
I think that's right.
Well, it goes to BRICS. BRICS started 3.5 years ago, something like that. But when the war really started, Russia, Iran, Brazil, South Africa, there was a big push of gaining momentum to not use the American dollar.
Yeah, but some of those people are warring with each other, and they don't agree with each other ideologically, so they don't pose any real threat to America. So that's not a good point.
Brother, you have Tanzania and Namibia and Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, all these countries that I nominated, all of them stop the using of dollar. If you want to buy something, you want to sell something, you have to use same currency. Okay.
He's right.
The biggest one was the picture.
Yeah, but ain't nobody trust BRICS. Like, y'all act like the Chinese yuan is freely convertible. That shit is crazy. Y'all going too far now.
The tariff change and everything, like why we're facing increase in goods, gas, inflation. It's like impossible to live alone here. They have to have like 5 people living in one house. That is because the whole world is changing their ties and relationship with the United States as they are uncovering the system, the oppressive system that they do. Like they're profiting off of like people who live in America.
Yeah, but dominance is still going to be deeply entrenched.
China and Russia has been changed, so like the trade, the imports, they're not using US currency. They're using like another currency. So that's hurting America. That's hurting us. That's hurting. Huh?
Who's using another currency?
Russia
wouldn't be using our currency, right? Because of all the sanctions.
In trades, they do, yes. But I
got it in trade, but that's because of we got it when it comes to trade. I'm talking about like if you even think BRICS is a thing, then y'all are fucking mistaken.
I don't even know what that is, to be honest. But I didn't
That's
start
the
that.
point. That's the point, man. You should listen. Let me try to tell you. So when BRICS formed, the biggest impact that BRICS had in influence is Saudi Arabia. I'm not the best person to explain how important the petrodollar is. Man, wait till I finish.
I'm just saying.
Wait till I finish. Wait till I finish. So the dropping.
I don't need to know what a BRICS is. Any new system, the whole system of Saudi Arabia is a Wahhabis, and it's not an Islamic country. They're the ally. Everything is interconnected. So, like, what are you trying to say that the whole BRICS was what's your intention?
Okay, stop. First of all, nothing's gonna happen to the dollar right now. It is weakening, but like,
there is no value. There's no gold.
Okay, so regardless of the fact, like, commodities are priced in what? U.S. dollars. So trading is going to be in dollars. Until that changes, right now it's U.S. dollar.
It's actually just into currency. They're doing it through digital. They're making you say that. Actually, so don't, like, you can.
Patty, what's going on, Patty? What is happening on this stage right now?
I don't know. I'm just communicating with you guys, but then someone brought in Saudi Arabia for talking about BRICS and said I wasn't.
Sunday morning. There ain't no need for getting loud, Lord.
Habibi, I'm not loud.
You're loud.
But also,
this is all a deflection to an intelligent conversation because you guys are incapable of having one. Sorry.
But listen.
We are.
I'm gonna stop talking, but I was listening in. I've never.
Hey, you're right. I agree with you. What's your name? I'm Eldad.
I'm not just this white person. You can just say I agree with you. Just a white.
No. We're all being honest. We're not capable of having an intelligent conversation with you.
And then
well, I was saying, when I mentioned I didn't know about BRICS or something, I said that's kind of irrelevant because this system, and someone was like, well, that's what you're not listening. So I'm just over-explaining myself, but yeah, okay, I'm just.
Well, then your takes also have the responsibility of being sensible, and they are not because you don't understand them in context. So what you may be saying flatly is correct in some way, but contextually it is not. Which shows that you really don't understand the fullness of what you're talking about.
No, I just don't have the right term.
Well, because you don't understand. When you understand, you can explain it fluently. You don't understand what we're talking about.
So you guys are comfortable attacking anybody?
It's not an attack, dear. It's an observation. I don't know why you all assume that people are attacking you because they're correcting you. You don't understand what you are talking about in context. Is that more plain?
I'm sorry, you're here.
That shouldn't be offensive to you. What you should do is use that as an opportunity to, I don't know, maybe go find out what the fuck you're talking about so you can come back and explain it fluently. Please do not get caught up in my frustration. You have earned this. So because you keep telling us that we don't understand, it is clear that you are the person who does not understand what you're talking about.
Okay, so now we're just pointing fingers. I have BRICS written right here, looking it up right now. Like, I don't have a problem with learning.
Then don't present yourself as an expert on something and tell others that they don't understand when you are obviously the person who doesn't get it.
But what? Okay, I hear you. But what was it? Just so we can move on. I can shut up. What was it where I said I had? What was the point that I had said that you guys don't understand? That's the part I want to know.
You just said we're not capable of having an intelligent conversation with you. So I don't know. What does that mean to you?
No, I was saying, well, first of all, I'm not putting anyone down. Someone said something about BRICS starting in Saudi Arabia, and I asked what the intention was. And I was like, well, Saudi Arabia, to be
anything. If I tell you that we're unable to have an intelligent conversation with you, that's not putting you down.
Okay, well, I apologize for saying that. I'm just talking about the person who was saying something about Saudi Arabia and saying that people have a It
just so happens that you were talking to the person on the stage who probably understands more than the rest of us. That's the irony in this. She understands more than most of us on the stage do about what we're talking about.
That's probably true. I wasn't talking to her.
No, there's no probably. There's no probably. She does. So that's what I'm saying. It would behoove you to listen. She was trying to share with you. But you then insulted her, whether you admit that or not. You insulted everyone.
I will admit that I insulted the individual that talked about Saudi Arabia. That's what I was talking about. I probably cut her off when she talked about it. I don't understand, but whoever was speaking, I don't see her name here. I definitely apologize because I'm here to actually just communicate, collaborate, and to listen and learn. so we can all do that with each other. That's my philosophy, and that's who I am. So I'm not gonna back down and just, but anyways, that's what I wanted to point out.
Go ahead, Nathan. Talk about
All right, so what I was saying, I'm already saying this, right? So BRICS was started, and through that influence, Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, right? And it was a president, I forgot who he was, 3 decades ago, and he stated how important, I'll just read it up on it, watching documentaries, whatever, right? But he was saying how important the petrodollar was to the United States. And somebody more, can explain it better than I can, how important that is for the United States. And actually, since I follow the dollar every other 2 days, it is getting weaker because I do travel to basically the United States a lot. So it was like at $20, around 20 or 19. It's like 18 right now. I checked yesterday. I was like, what the? It is dropping. But, I mean, who knows? But yeah, that's all I was saying about it. That I do think that any type of challenger is going to, no matter who the president is, right? When you have an organization like BRICS, it's going to get the attention of the United States, regardless of whoever president, and they're going to see it as a threat. And if you try to affect the value of the American dollar, right, they will see it as an extreme threat. We've seen countries like Argentina, Venezuela, those type of countries like that, their dollar dropped in value, right? And it pretty much that can pretty much kill a country. So yeah, I mean, I think that Trump did talk about it before he was elected and addressed BRICS specifically. And I think that he said he's going to eliminate it and stop it before he would. I mean, this was like 8 months before the
I
election.
have a question, Nathan. Who told you that Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar? Was that you?
I think it was reported a few years ago now that they followed through with it.
Why they still price oil in USD?
Well, I mean, it was in the news that they was going to drop it. Now, what percentage of it are they going to drop completely? I didn't check up on it recently. That was about the last time I heard about it was when it was reported.
Yeah, they haven't dropped it.
But do you see that it was going to drop it?
Do you see on TV when they talk about how many US dollars per barrel?
Let me look it up.
There's been fake news about it, Patty, but we don't. Who knows the difference between fake and
Yeah, I think maybe countries will say things like, "Oh, I'm going to do something," and they don't follow through.
And they don't. All these countries older than the U.S. supposed to be more savvy, but who still has the world currency? Who still holds it?
All right, I have a question. If you guys will allow me.
Okay, go ahead. I wasn't talking.
Oh no, I didn't mean.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just like, so what does that mean in the? Because I'm curious. For the U.S., what does that mean if another country is saying that we're dropping? What is that? What is it? Lowering the prices on the oil.
When you process that slowly, now you said BRICS, and it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, right? And then like the whole South America is in there. You got four nations and a whole continent. Y'all processing that? 4 nations and a whole continent. And then down the time, we're going to break up stuff. Hey, you don't have no influence to like that. See what it is, they get, when people get power, when they get bombs and guns in their hands, I noticed the white boys on the playground, and you get somebody pissed, they would behave differently when they had guns. When they had a big mob with them, they would behave a little different. They would flex when they had the boys with them. And then humble themselves when they were outnumbered, or if it was a fair fight now, just a fair fight. Just think about that. You got Brazil, Russia, countries, right? India, China. Think about that. And then old South America.
Okay, she asked the question, and it had nothing to do with it. It had 100% to do with what would happen if you said something about what would happen if Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, right?
Yeah, I guess the countries that you guys were talking about, like you asked, you just said like, I think they just dropped the prices on oil. So I was like, okay, what does that mean in your relationship to the U.S.? Like, how does that affect the two countries?
Basically, the quality of oil is when you deal with Iran and Saudi Arabia, it has the quality of petroleum. The main line goes from Iran to China, and Saudi Arabia has
Let's
a lot
talk
of
about the global market. It's going to affect the global market. We can just talk about price at this moment, brother.
I think you know at this point I won't be long, but I will be strong. Now, Saudi Arabian oil is the thing that there's a lot of confidence because of the politics of Saudi Arabia and the quality of the petroleum oil that comes out of the ground. That's what makes them rich and flex and the Arabs and etc. But on that strength, America uses that oil to keep a certain balance in the trade market, etc. When the price per barrel is what the controversy has been about for years, all of my adult life. So to trade with them, to have any form of embargo or something to affect that oil will affect your price at the grocery counter. It will affect your price at the gas and diesel pump. Those are the things that they're squabbling over most of the time. So to keep them as a partner, in other words, there were certain political moves that were made between Saudi and America, and the execution of the journalist that time. And again, Donald Trump was in office for that one. So anything that we do or they do towards each other is going to affect the market, what you're spending per gallon, and what you're spending for milk, eggs, the very basic staple food market, and in your house. So that market will be affected by the political relationship between America and Saudi Arabia. And I'll let my plan on the facts as you know them to be.
Can I answer this question?
Yeah.
Ask go on mute.
It won't take long. Specifically, if that's the name that, the relation largely comes down to the cost of producing oil in the United States. If it is reduced to such a degree to where it becomes unsustainable to produce oil in the United States, that causes a problem with domestic production of oil in the United States. Right, so, which is a strategic commodity for the United States. Other countries that have a larger portion of the oil market can do that. I'm not going to say unilaterally, but without the United States. And they have done this at different times to make it less sustainable for domestic U.S. production. This was different. The math changed a little bit with the innovation of fracking, which reduced the cost of producing oil in the U.S. From $60 to about $40. I don't know, somebody is the one. Anyway, but the point is it reduced it quite significantly by almost about a third.
That wasn't her question.
And so...
Dark, I'm going to repeat her question. She said if Saudi Arabia dropped the petrodollar, like, what would happen? She wants to know what would happen.
Oh, if she dropped the petrodollar?
Right, because
they would lose significant degrees of market access and probably weapons access,
but what
which
would
they
happen
need.
globally? Like make it make sense, because we were talking about the U.S. dollar, right? And the demand for the U.S. dollar, why there's a demand. But she was saying, and we got rid of the petrodollar, which is not true. They're still trading oil in USD. So the thing is, she asked, well, how would that affect, like, if they did drop the petrodollar?
They cannot. Here is the problem, though. They cannot drop because the U.S. dollar control the market. Even the Saudis.
Right, 100%.
Yeah, we're not trying to do that. Then they would lose.
And if they did that, would they shift over to China? You know what I'm saying? That would be the only other geopolitical shift they'd be able to go to. They'd have to go to a yuan-based price. And the problem with yuan-based pricing is how fucking China fluctuates their money.
Just like China, if you guys see now China cannot come in this market to try to fight the American dollar. They don't have that money. Yeah, they have this, but they will not dominate US dollar.
Can I have the mic 1 minute, please? I need just to explain you something.
You starting to get on my nerves. Go ahead.
Hey, can I go after him?
Go ahead after Michi. Go Michi, because I don't think Americans come.
Okay. Yeah, so my take on it is basically what would happen globally, like just the global economy. First of all, the demand for U.S. dollars would go down. The only reason why there are, a lot of countries requiring U.S. dollars is because of the fact that, global energy commodities are, priced in U.S. dollars. That's not the only reason, but just for this, because there are a whole lot of financial transactions that are denominated in U.S. dollars that have nothing to do with, petroleum products. But for the sake of this, if that's no longer the case, then the demand of the U.S. dollars will reduce. We know that, in economics, whenever the demand for something reduces, then the price of that thing will also reduce. So if these multinationals and governments no longer need as many dollars as they used to in order to settle transactions in like global trade, then they wouldn't keep as many dollars in their treasury. Countries would reduce their holdings of dollar foreign reserves, which would, then reduce again, not just the price of the dollar, but countries' dependence on the dollar and the U.S.'s influence in those countries. The most that, and I agree that I really think that's unlikely. So I agree with Patty, and I think it was somebody else, I think it was American, that said that it's not going to happen. As Patty said, there's still quoting oil barrels in terms of dollars. I don't think that that's going to stop. The most that they can do is what BRICS is trying to do with any other commodity. So in that case, oil is not necessarily special. So for the BRICS members, what they're trying to say is, hey, when we are trading amongst each other, then let's use our own currency. When we're, when a BRICS country is trading directly with the BRICS country, they're trying to eliminate that trade being done in dollars. So if Saudi Arabia is selling China oil, then they're proposing, okay, let's quote those barrels of oil in yuan when we're selling to China. Let's quote it in rubles when we're selling to, Russia, something like that. I hope that answers your question.
Let's do a Tanya reading room and show Sam how much of a clown he is.
Yeah, the thing is this, BRICS is not something to be worried about. If folks actually read the BRICS treaty, there is nothing in there that actually enhances the countries that belong to the alliance at all. Nathan, who thinks otherwise, is incapable of finding me where in the treaty it actually enhances the nations within the alliance itself. If you actually look at the language of the alliance itself, there is nothing that actually creates a shared trade bloc, for example, such as the EU. There is nothing that establishes a shared defensive framework or paradigm between these countries. Essentially, all of the deals that happen within these BRICS nations is bilateral. By that I mean between only one country and one other country, right? Nathan likes to suggest China and Dave. Now, the only reason why someone would suggest that China would command the BRICS is if they have zero understanding of India's actual relationship with China as it is on the ground. Chinese animus within India is still alive, has been alive. I've seen this personally with my own government meetings, but you don't even have to do that. You just have to look, for example, at the eastern Ladakh region, where you have Indian and Chinese soldiers literally coming to fisticuffs. Literally come to fisticuffs, right? They're building competing dams on the same river. Why would these actions happen amongst two countries which are ostensibly allies? Why would India enter into, for example, the Quad defensive framework, which directly challenged China's claim to sovereignty in the Pacific Ocean, while India doesn't have any sort of defensive framework or shared paradigm with China at all, and never has? If you further look at the BRICS, basically one half of the BRICS has a significant geopolitical difference from the other half of the BRICS, right? Are we going to see Iran and Saudi Arabia agree on a shared currency? Are we going to see Turkey and Greece agree on a shared currency? Are we going to see, I already said India and China. I mean, like, are we going to see Egypt and Ethiopia agree on a shared currency? If you think that they will, I recommend looking up the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam and how they've gone through about 12 years of failed negotiations on equitable uses of the Nile. The BRICS is nothing but a surface level hedge, and if you actually look at the treaty itself, is vaporware.
Yeah, but they are trying to come up with their own digital currency. You know, China is going to project
every year. Like, it's never going to happen.
Okay, go ahead. You got it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, they claim that they're coming out with a currency every one and a half.
But China is currently working on Project Enbridge, right? Have you heard about that?
Again,
right now they're testing it. I mean, regardless of the fact, they're testing it right now. Like UAE, Saudi Arabia, and China, they're doing a cross-border digital currency settlement. They're doing their settlements.
Can I inject? UAE will not. UAE the part of. They have an agreement with the U.S. Turkey is part of a line of NATO, and the part of U.S. So it will be so difficult. I would just say this. I think maybe after some time of generation to come, I don't know what we talk right now, 20 years or 30 years we're talking about, that China will be able to push through.
No, you may not. You may not. No.
Russia will push through. There will be no any time.
All these people are ancient peoples.
In
They
the
are intermarried with thousands of years ago. The Edomites and the Israelites
will come to try to say that they want to go against US dollar or US power in the region. That anyone that think about that, then you
coward. The fuck is wrong with you?
100%
That's all
maybe
the
you don't
fucking point.
understand.
You fucking absolute coward.
It will not
fucking trying to talk over someone like that.
even Turkey,
Afraid of what they're fucking saying.
and Saudi and UAE, even their richness, they came through US dollar. There can be no way at any point at any time. If we're talking 100 years from now, I can buy with you guys. But we're talking about 20, 30, please. That won't make no sense. So
Gaddafi tried, and Saddam Hussein tried. Everybody tried to overthrow the dollar. It's not gonna happen.
Then what happened? We got killed. They got killed. So here is the point. They cannot try. Saudi cannot. Saudi, the U.S. is sitting where the U.S. is protecting Saudi. UAE is being protected by the U.S. Turkey is also being protected by the U.S. What are we doing? They at any time, at anywhere. So U.S. dollar always, and okay, let's just say for example, if let's go to auction, right? If whoever bid more money, U.S. dollar bid more than the rest of these countries, right? U.S. dollar very secure. U.S. dollar have a power behind it. Nothing can happen. So unless you got if we're talking about 50 years from now, okay. But after that, then maybe Turkey, if Turkey want to go to China or go to Russia, I don't know, Turkey, there's no way that Turkey will leave NATO. There's no way UAE will try to go anywhere. What other country? Saudi, what is that? Saudi Arabia, there's no way. they could reach out even their oil. US have more oil actually, if you guys seen that, but they just US don't want to use their oil because they're bidding outside. So that point that these people are going, or the world order will be changed at any time soon, they're not changing.
So again, I think, real quick, Dirk, I think we should just be cautious before we say, something is never going to happen or something is impossible. I do think that it's probably more reasonable to say that just like, geopolitically, we're moving to an era where there's not going to be just one undisputed superpower. We're going to have kind of like multipolarity where we have heavyweights, one heavyweight in each region. That might be the way that it is going to be with the dollar as well. Again, I don't see the dollar just disappearing as the world's reserve currency because there are a lot of transactions that go between two countries that have nothing to do with BRICS, and there has to be a third-party currency that both of those counterparts in those transactions, are comfortable dealing with. I think there are a whole lot of geopolitical issues, as I don't know who was speaking for. I think it was Dark that was saying that that would be a challenge to BRICS. We can just acknowledge that the enemy of your enemy isn't always your friend. All of these people are coalescing just on the premise that they don't like the U.S. That doesn't necessarily mean that they do like one another. And like those border skirmishes that he was talking about, even just the quest for dominance in Asia. India is growing, economy. They're not trying to step aside and just default to China. Russia, they have their own pride, their own ego. Putin is just really kind of leaning on China now because he needs to, because, he's in a war that is unpopular. He has a whole lot of heavyweights that are opposing him. That doesn't necessarily mean that, he's fine, with China being the big dog on campus, in BRICS as it is. If they drop the currency, they're still going to be a dominant force. We know that China is going to be expected to be that dominant force, financially, as far as how the currency, will go. I'm not sure everybody wants to, cede their sovereignty, so to speak, to China, these issues. So there are internal challenges. I won't say that, something is impossible. The BRICS bloc can definitely challenge the U.S. dollar. Will they be able to eliminate the U.S. dollar? I don't think so. Another thing that people have to think about, like I was mentioning earlier, are like financial transactions that have nothing to do with commodities or anything else. And also, people sometimes simplify the value of the U.S. dollar by saying, oh, it's our military. It's because we have 100 and however many bases in these countries and we're pretty much forcing them. It's not as simple as just kind of boiling it down to, neo-imperialism. When people are choosing the currencies that they maintain their foreign reserves in, they're looking at how stable those countries are. They're looking at the rule of law in those countries. They're looking at the property rights laws and stuff that are enforced. The general transparency that they perceive those respective governments to operate with. That's when they're comfortable. That's when they decide which currencies that they're comfortable, keeping their foreign reserves in. That's not always the case with China. People can't really tell, what's going to happen with China as far as even internally, how stable their society is, the fact that they manipulate their currency so much and they don't really let it flow freely in the market. These are other factors that people use, in order to determine where their savings are going to lie in. And these are also challenges that I would say are presented against any BRICS currencies potential of just completely overtaking the dollar.
You made great points, and let me say this, right? I'm not saying it was created. You have to understand why a thing was created first to understand what the objective is, whether it is what's on paper. It was created because there are sanctions on Russia, and other nations looked at it like, wait a second, if they can do this, because other nations looked at it as like a local conflict from Ukraine and Russia. That's like Ukraine used to be part of the Soviet Union, so they look like, okay, that's a local type of issue. And look how many sanctions were put on them, right? That was the spark of it. You know, everything is not going to be plain written out on paper. Their objective. That's not even a wise thing to do. But we do know that the number 2 and 3 most powerful country in the world, that's, you know, the United States being one, is Russia and China, right? So, I mean, I don't think that it's a new thing, right? And, you know, it's hard to predict what the future is going to be. But to say, like, I think it's a little bit of ego saying, oh, this can never happen. Well, you know, the biggest dog, and, you know, when you have that type of ego when you think you're invincible, right? You know, and then one day you fall and hit your face, you're going to wonder what happened. The signs were on the ball. Yeah, that's all I'm saying about it.
Firstly, we need to look at a little bit of history here. The suggestion that BRICS was created as a result of the sanctions in Russia is patently false. BRICS was created in 2006 as an alternative to U.S.-led global order. Major sanctions against Russia didn't happen until 2014. 12 years. No. Sorry, I can't do math. Less than 8 years.
8 years.
The point is,
Yeah.
8 years. Yeah, I don't have
Because
the
of
number.
like the annexation of Crimea.
Yeah, my wife is the math one in the family here. The point is that BRICS was not created because of sanctions against Russia. That is not true. There is nothing in history that actually supports that. I recommend folks look at the history and also read the BRICS Treaty to understand this a bit better. Amici actually had a lot of great points. Now, I will say this. If there was ever a greater argument for why many countries should abandon the U.S., Trump is doing that work for Russia and China right now far better than either of them could. Upending global trade, reducing confidence in the dollar, creating greater instability here at home, defending pedophiles. Well, maybe that's not one reason. I just felt like I should continue to liken Trump with defending pedophiles here because that's what he's doing. But the point is that Trump is actually making the best argument for why countries should abandon the dollar now. Whether or not they will do that, I would still agree, of course, with Amici that at the moment it's still quite unlikely. But Trump is doing his best, it seems, to actually do that. Again, far better than China or Russia could have ever done, either together or separately. No counter arguments from the pedophile defenders here. Okay, nice.
I actually want to say something. I agree. I've been reading about it too. Like, and Amici was saying something how, or I don't know who stepped in. Someone said something that it's actually just used for surface. Like it's not an actual. Like there are deeper things to it. And I don't know if this is going off topic, but this is just my curiosity. But as of now, there's a canal being built. It's called Ben Gurion Canal. That's on the Sinaites of. I think it's on the southern part of Egypt, and it's like connected to Israel, and that's where the Suez Canal. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. Which is where the import comes from China or from Yemen and towards the U.S. and that's where the channel of like transport and trade routes are. I think, and I think that because that's changing. And they're using all these different treaties, but I don't know if someone knows anything of this or if you just disregard it, but I don't know. That's what I wanted to say.
like that's just money. They just like
That is not money. Just answer the question.
I don't see.
You people are dumb.
Okay, fine.
How was legalizing recreational marijuana? How was legalizing recreational? Hold on, world. How was legalizing recreational marijuana 5, 6, 7 years ago not progressive? Please explain that.
Because about 10 other states had done so at the time.
So you think progressive just means doing something first? Oh my God.
Not necessarily.
Oh my God.
Not necessarily, but I think when like a precedent has been set for like 10, like damn near 15 years in like places like Colorado and Los Angeles, it doesn't. Yeah, okay.
Los Angeles. I said states.
I said moderately progressive. Yeah, I said.
No, I said states. What does Los Angeles have to do with it?
I said what you said?
I said states. Los Angeles is not a state.
My bad.
Los Angeles cannot legalize recreational marijuana.
You're getting bogged down in details. That's what you do.
This is literally details. Let's continue. How about free tuition?
I'm talking about like the precedent that was set in other places before, and it's like you look at that and say, okay, well, like that city didn't burn. So,
how about college for free? For 3-year college.
For everybody, or is that good?
Tuition? Yes. No, you couldn't make over. No, not rich people. So it was for working class and poor people. Like if you made over 150,000, you didn't get it.
I'm pretty sure you said for everybody earlier.
I'm talking about working people, not billionaire. Oh my God, yo, what's going on?
This is an interesting.
Anyway, it's for. I got it, Marshall. So is it progressive or not? The first state for free tuition at 4-year colleges and universities for working class, middle class people. Is that progressive or not?
Well, you talking about the 421 tax break?
Huh?
Well, you talking about the 421A tax break?
No, I think it's called the Empire Program. I can't remember. I'm just talking about free tuition for people in New York.
It's Excelsior. It's Excelsior.
Excelsior, that's the one. Yes. Was that progressive?
Well, you may help you out, world.
Yeah.
No, because it's his claim. Is that progressive?
Is that progressive? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Legalizing gay marriage.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on, that was expanding Medicaid.
Yes, bro. Getting middle and end of this conversation.
I'm not controlling the question. I'm asking you if you think it's progressive, because you said he wasn't progressive.
Okay, so you think that everything that he did was progressive, like all his policies?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
I don't think everything Bernie stands for is progressive either. I would say, hold on, world. I don't think everything. Hold on, world. I don't think everything Bernie Sanders stands for is progressive either. He's still a progressive. You have to weigh it. What about banning fracking? Is that progressive?
Yeah.
Okay. 1 second. I didn't realize what was going on. Oops. Okay. So you have no evidence.
Wait. Did he fully ban fracking?
Oh my God. Yes.
I'm asking.
Yes, bro. You don't even know anything about the dude, but you say it's not progressive. This is painful. Go ahead. Who was next? Go ahead, City. Just mute up, bro.
Okay.
Wait till we talk about mixtapes and weed, and you can participate. Go ahead, City.
Yeah, I mean, Cuomo's a complicated figure. I think that you do. I think that you do offer a legitimate critique of Cuomo that as time went on during his governorship, he did start to adopt more progressive policies.
What does that mean?
But
as time went on,
you like you said, you're talking about the fracking, I forgot all the things that you listed. But I mean, let's be clear. Like, I'm just gonna speak from a perception standpoint. Nationally,
of course,
he was not seen as a progressive.
because he was a part of the Clinton administration, and people consider him as an extension of the Clinton machine nationally.
So
now, from the New York, from a New York, that's not my opinion. That's the opinion of MSNBC. Now, from a New York perspective, I can't speak on that because I don't live in New York, so I can't speak on how people perceived him in New York. Now, we do know that he did support corporate tax cuts. We do know that his Startup New York program gave generous tax breaks to business.
Hold on. So it's called what? Startup New York?
Yeah, Startup New York.
Startup New York tax plan. So he wanted to create jobs. Okay. Hold on. That's okay. Hold on. Go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't like.
Hold on. Do you know how you're eligible for the Startup New York plan?
I do not know.
Okay. It has to be attached to a New York State college or university. And you have to provide jobs to the people in the college and university. It was a way to bring businesses back to college towns to support students and other people in the area. To be eligible to be a new business or an existing new business relocating and expanding in the state, and you have to partner with the state college or university. So it's a public-private. I'm almost done. So it's a public-private partnership. Progressives don't believe in that anymore.
Well, I mean, that is a corporatist business mindset. And the thing is, you ask me a question, do progressives believe in that? It's not universally accepted because it gives tax breaks to the wealthy, to the corporate class. And
how long does the tax breaks last for?
I have no idea. I'm not going to speak on the details of initiatives and legislation. We're just having a generalized conversation.
Hold on 1 second, real quick. It's called the Startup New York program. Does it apply to big businesses and corporations?
It gave tax breaks to businesses. And you asked me.
1 second, bro. 1 second. Hold on, cities. Come on, let's move slow. This is an interesting program. I've forgotten about this. You said that it provides tax breaks to big businesses and corporations.
No, I said...
1 second, city? 1 second. That's what you said.
No,
let me read Hold on, city, let me read it. Hold on, let me read it. List of ineligible businesses. Retail and wholesale businesses. Restaurants. Law and accounting firms. Medical or dental practices. Real estate management companies and brokers. Hospitality services. Retail banking. Utility and energy production. Finance and financial services. Business providing personal services, and business providing business administration and support services. So you made the claim that big corporations would get this. Which big corporation would get it?
I did not say that.
You gotta get off my stage. You gotta get off my stage. You didn't say that. You said that's literally what you said.
You said corporates.
You said big business and corporations.
No,
I said it would go to big businesses and corporations.
Hold on, you gotta let me speak because you're filibustering here.
It's not a filibuster because you're getting the seat. But hold on a second. Hold on. Let me clear the ground. World, just stay in the bathroom and take your shit. We can hear you in the bathroom. Let's clear the ground. City, just start over and we'll start over. What's your point on the Startup New York?
My point is it gave tax breaks to businesses. That's what I said. Okay. I also referenced that Cuomo gave corporate tax cuts.
Okay, so let's start with the startup one. I got you.
You gotta let me finish a sentence. Can I please finish a sentence?
Can we do one at a time? Let's do one at a time. Before you go to the second thing, let's go to the first one. So is the first one the startup program you're talking about?
Yes, it gave tax breaks to business.
Okay. So how was that not progressive?
I mean, the progressive perspective, and keep in mind, I'm just stating how progressives view that, is that the consistent tax breaks to businesses is unfair to the average Joe in the working class. Because, I mean, the trickle-down economic view of society just doesn't match with progressivism.
Cool. And then what was the second one you had?
Cuomo gave corporate tax breaks.
Okay, so what? Hold on. Cuomo corporate tax breaks. This was. Let's see when this was. So the general corporate franchise tax rate was lowered from 7.1 to 6.5%. Upstate manufacturers were completely exempted from paying a corporate income tax. The state bank tax was eliminated. Banks became subject to the general corporate income tax. I don't know if that made for more or less. I have to look. Refundable tax credit equal to 20% of property. Okay.
Let me just add one thing. So it also gave tax breaks to actually employees on their income.
Okay. So, do progressives not believe in tax breaks at all? See, I'm just trying to understand.
I mean, tax breaks for the middle class, of course, and the poor.
So middle class. Oh my God. Who did these affect most, City?
We need that question does not address the overall conversation. If you're asking me
about the perception,
can I finish my statements, please?
So is the conversation about the perception?
No, if you're asking me about how progressives view corporate tax breaks of any kind, it is unfavorably. And any person that gives corporate tax breaks, and like I said, I hate purity tests, but this is how the progressive ideology is. They're not going to consider you a progressive because you give off the impression that you're in the pocket of big business.
Okay, this is crazy. It's not even worth. Progressives use the tax code to redistribute and stimulate salaries for working people because they'd rather use redistribution all the time. But to City's point, if that is the perception, that's fair, which is why American progressives are the dumbest progressives in the world.
That's the online perception, okay? The real progressive.
Hold on, bro. You gotta let people speak. Let Mel speak, bro.
I have never heard this in my life. Maybe I'm not as progressive as I think I am, but
I neither.
I've never heard a progressive say, tax cuts and and inducing business and allocation of resources is inherently bad. Like that's the whole point. Like that's how we use the tax code and law to incentivize
like the CHIPS Act,
innovation and production, and to distribute resources across the wider economy. That's the whole point of how things work in the US and a lot of countries, and I don't understand why we shy away from using that.
You're misrepresenting what I said.
Sure, go ahead.
Corporate tax breaks. Now, the reason why that's important, and if you haven't heard that, you haven't been paying attention to politics, at least for the last 10 years. I know Goat knows what I'm talking about.
I don't.
Even though I find his...
I don't. Hold on, City. Did you mention me? Hold on, City. The reason why I don't is because the CHIPS Act is a perfect example of, I thought, of that a policy progressives, by the way, Elizabeth Warren voted for, Jayapal voted for, all the progressives in Congress voted for, precisely using the tax code to do like the semiconductor stuff. So this kind of surprised me.
Corporate tax breaks, and when we're talking about corporate
tax breaks,
it's a corporate.
When I finish my statement,
wait, hold on.
Let him finish, man.
When we're talking about the corporate tax break, we're looking at it from the 1950s to 1960s. Of how the corporate taxes were at 40 to 45%, I believe, and they've been gradually cut down. Reaganomics put it on steroids to create the corporate state that we live in today. So I don't understand why this is such
So I'm gonna offer something. I'll offer something for you.
I just want to say I don't understand how this is news to you when we've heard for the last 7 to 8 years about the minimum wage, the federal minimum wage not being raised, corporations consistently getting tax breaks across the country, and the working people wages, even though they did raise under Biden, we're not moving up or forward. So I don't understand how this is news to anyone.
Let me offer something. Let me
Go ahead, Charles.
let me offer something. So I know that we were talking about the city of New York, right? And the mayoral race. But let's expand this out to the state of New York. So if this is tied to colleges, then we need to ask, okay, well, what is the incentives? So then we have to say, okay, well, how many colleges are in New York? 70, over 70 colleges. So there are several college towns. If you keep up with, there's a young black man who goes on IG, I think maybe even TikTok, and he shows you the conditions of some of these towns. They're very poor conditions. And so when you're thinking about trying to kind of breathe life not just into one city, right, which is New York and the people there, but the obligation to your other constituents in the state of New York, and how many colleges are in the state of New York, then you can say, okay, this applies to franchises, this applies to, it's not just corporations, because some of these towns don't have the infrastructure to support a corporation. However, if you're able to create jobs, which was what the whole idea was to create jobs, but also to pass on, pass down the savings to the employee actually for a limited period of time where they don't have to pay as much income tax. I think that sounds a little progressive to me. I don't think that I can find a lot of fault if I broaden my scope out to the rest of the people in the state.
So using the tax code to grow wages and build jobs is progressive. I've never heard what Sydney is saying. Now, if you're talking about the corporate tax break and all that kind of stuff, I understand that. The one that I saw, somebody can correct me, I saw that it went from 7.1 to 6.5. So if that takes him from, if that takes him, let's see, 1 second. Not a stalker in the room. Remind me of that song, There's a Stranger. Was it a stranger in my house? That's not Deborah Cox, I forgot her saying. If that undoes his progressive bona fides, that's bizarre. But I can understand that. Bernie Sanders has voted for policies that give corporations tax breaks as well, and for good reason. But we can disagree to disagree. But you mentioned minimum wage, right?
Yes.
He raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour.
Do you know what year?
I think it was 20. New York City minimum wage, or New York State, sorry. 15. I think it was 2017. No, 2000. The law passed in. I gotta be honest with y'all, my Googling skills. Yeah, 2016, 2017. In that state, in the state budget, he became governor in. I'm sorry, y'all. My.
It looks like it's 2018.
I'm just a bad.
It looks like it was.
That's when it took effect. That's when it first began to take effect. But it was in the 16-17 budget.
Okay.
I'm just, Lord have mercy. I'm so bad at Googling now. It's just so much information. He became governor in 2011. And if you recall, the Republicans had the Senate in New York. Do y'all remember that whole thing? Republicans controlled the Senate in New York, I think, for his first term. And then the Democrats got the Senate. So it was a switch over. Can't remember, but there was all within that. There was a guy in the Senate in New York who was had the big scandal. All that with the white hair. Really interesting looking fellow. I mean, I'm saying all the stuff that y'all say is important. Healthcare, minimum wage, all this kind of stuff is very progressive. He did all of those things.
It's never enough. I don't know why we just can't give people the flowers, when they actually do the stuff that we want them to do.
I mean, here's articulate, right on cue. But you can't be saying progressive. Yes, the CHIPS Act was progressive. Using the tax code to incentivize production and jobs, wage growth, etc., it can be very progressive. Especially, he had one tax break. It was a manufacturing one. Because sometimes you have to go and actually look at where the taxes come from. Cuomo, he had one for upstate manufacturers. That's good to incentivize people.
I didn't say
you have jobs up there. So
the CHIPS Act is, hold on, City. The CHIPS Act is progressive. I'm not going against the CHIPS Act. I'm saying just describing it as a corporate tax break, I think is unfair to what the CHIPS Act is, which is very nuanced. And it's definitely not what many would consider to be just a corporate tax break.
We're specifically talking about how the tax breaks and credits and that incentivize semiconductor production.
No, I agree.
So we did something very similar. You just came in, so we've been talking about it for like an hour. Let me catch you up.
Okay, I missed something. Right.
No, you're not right. I'm talking about this manufacturing tax elimination credit, which is something that Cuomo did, which the progressive cheered because the working class had been wiped out in upstate New York. I don't know if you know about Corning. I don't know if you know about Kodak and Rochester, etc. So one way to incentivize businesses to come back to provide jobs for working people, these places are shitholes. Buffalo is a shithole. This is how you can incentivize them because they were being attracted outside of the state. They were moving to Florida, etc., etc.
Yeah, I'm not against that. I don't think that's not progressive.
Okay, that's what City was saying was not progressive. That's what we're debating.
Y'all said CHIPS Act, and you said it was a tax break.
We used the CHIPS. Right, that's what we were saying, because he said that was the point. Why we use CHIPS Act? It was similar use of the tax code. It's okay to catch up. It's all right.
All right. As long as we know it's not a corporate tax break.
It is a corporate tax break.
Oh my God.
Dr. Art is correct. It's not a corporate tax break.
So then what
it
is
does
it?
offer subsidies and incentives, but it is not a pure corporate tax break. In the
people treat corporate tax break like a boogie word. I don't understand.
Because Mel, you gotta be honest with Mel.
This is why
you are a Democrat, but you're not a progressive.
Oh my God, Mel is like the left. Oh my God, this is insane. He lives in Brooklyn. What are you talking about?
Not economic.
I don't think you guys don't agree with us. But we're not groaning at you. We're not fussing.
All right, leave, bro. Then leave. You've actually.
Wait, I gotta leave if I don't want to be groaned at for talking about the corporate tax rate.
Talking.
What is a 25% tax credit?
So he did. Now, to be fair to them, as I said before, he lowered the general corporate tax, the franchise rate, from 7.1 to 6.5. I agree with that. Now, if you want to say that alone doesn't make him progressive, when we named everything from social issues to economic issues to minimum wage to healthcare to recreational marijuana, etc., to banning fracking, which the banning of fracking, I can't believe that was insane to me. And environmental stuff, that's cool, but
that was one of my critiques. And I know you know this.
Wait, you critiqued him banning fracking?
No, I'm talking about what you said about the corporate tax rate. But you do know that de Blasio and Cuomo didn't have the best of relationship.
Yeah, I know. They were both egomaniacs.
Yeah, and some of it was, and again, I'm bringing it back to the national perspective, is that de Blasio was fully in line with Bernie Sanders in the progressive wing. from a national perspective, when De Blasio went on MSNBC, they said Bernie Sanders supporter, Bill De Blasio, New York mayor, etc.
Cuomo changing the combo, bro.
I'm saying
about De Blasio.
I'm saying that the fact that De Blasio was
it doesn't matter.
A staunch progressive, and he had to fight to get his agenda because Cuomo was slow on that. He was slow. He was not really about tenant protections aggressively like De Blasio was.
In his first term, he had a Republican Senate.
And that was another criticism.
Hold on, bro. It was what was the other criticism?
The other criticism is that he empowered people in New York felt that he empowered the Republicans a little bit too much, which created a divided government.
Wait. How did that create a divided government that he empowered? The Republicans have had the Senate. Let me ask you a question, Sidney. Can you name any New York's assembly members?
I cannot.
Okay. So how do you mean he empowered them? They had held the Senate for a long time. Because upstate, they do that Republican, like Pennsylvania. You can have like statewide. You know that about New York, right? It's like Pennsylvania. I'm just making sure. So just so you know, he didn't always have the leftist, Democrat, progressive assembly and Senate that he always had. That's all. That's cool.
Oh yeah.
But the larger point was.
I'm not knocking him for that. I'm saying that, and keep in mind, I'm not in New York. I'm just reading about the criticisms that people levied against him. They said that he was a little bit too passive with the Republicans of the time.
Wait. Hold on. Cuomo was too passive? Who said that? Now, this I've never heard. You don't have to name the person, but like too passive in what regard?
I'll post an article in the chat.
Okay, that I've never heard. Yeah, there was this whole thing. If you look on it, it's on Wikipedia with the Democrats who would caucus with the Republicans. It was a mess in Albany. Like, if you're interested in like there are certain states you could follow to like, if you want to geek out. New York Senate has been one. Nebraska is unicameral. That's kind of interesting to follow. Wisconsin, we very famously followed because of the Republican Revolution there. But it was kind of a mess. It was called the IDC that came after. The Republicans retook the majority in 2010. So yeah, it was not.
Yeah, and I want to make clear to everyone in the room, I'm not trying to pretend I'm some expert on New York politics.
No, we got you. You all good. Don't worry about it. And don't worry about it.
But from a national perspective, it's hard for me, and maybe someone else in the room can speak on it, to say that Cuomo was with the Bernie Sanders AOC, what we now know as the progressive wing of the party.
So progressives we use the tax code to incentivize production, wage growth, economic growth, just like it's corporate tax breaks, corporate tax credits, which is even more corporatist. And so the CHIPS Act, which is not only semiconductors, but it's also the Chips and Science Act. It's funny, this guy thinks he knows more about the chips than I do. 100% has corporate tax breaks in it, carve-outs, and it has literal credits in it. And so when I look at this manufacturing thing, that's what he did. I want to go back to the startup New York. This New York thing, this is kind of interesting. So Start New York helps new and expanding businesses through tax-based incentives and innovative academic partnerships. Start New York offers a new and expanding business opportunity to operate tax-free for 10 years on or near eligible university or college campuses in New York State. Partnering with these businesses partnering with these schools give businesses direct access to advanced research laboratories, development resources, and experts in key industries. How is this not progressive? List of ineligible businesses: retail and wholesale, restaurants, law and accounting, medical and dental practices, real estate management, companies, brokers, hospitality, retail banking, utility and energy production, finance and financial services, businesses providing personal services, and businesses providing business admin support and services. How is this not progressive? It gives college students jobs, and then they work there and they have partnerships and people go out of that into industry. This would be like using the tax code to help working people and middle-class people. Yeah, I don't understand how this would be especially in an era where people are like they can't get jobs out of college. How is this not progressive? Why do you need somebody to pay a 7% tax when they're going to build business over there and provide far more to the community than they would had they paid a 7% corporate tax rate or 6.5%? I don't get it.
So that's essentially another form of trickle-down economics.
No, this is not. No, this is the opposite of trickle. What's going on?
It's not trickle down because
it's not trickle down.
We're incentivizing companies to start, right? So it's basically trickling up because you're getting it at the ground floor, and so the community and the people, that all the college students that go to these companies, basically grow with the companies as they go up and get bigger and more successful. It's not like the money isn't going to Apple to make some, I don't know, storefront somewhere near a Cooney. It's for new ideas and new companies so that they have a stable ground, to offer roles to college students in and around New York.
Okay, understood. But I'm seeing that there were clear tax breaks for businesses in that plan.
I agree. And City, if you opened the candle shop and you were going to hire people from schools, I'd rather you open it up, and hire people for your scented city candles. It smells like St. Louis barbecue sauce. Then you pay me 7% in taxes. That seems like
Look,
so what?
I'm not criticizing the plan, though. I'm just speaking to what the topic of your room was, which you asked me why progressives wouldn't see Cuomo as a progressive.
No, but I'm asking why would that one be not progressive?
Once they hear tax breaks,
okay,
that's what I'm saying.
Okay, so then because this will be the kind of thing. Hold on, I'm trying to find businesses. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a fairly intelligent guy. I don't know what businesses would. This list of ineligible businesses. I'm trying to think of a business that would fit on here. I don't know. Maybe, like a biotech. Maybe biotech. Maybe I don't know. Maybe biotech would work. I don't know. This seems like a pretty good program. It's definitely not trickle down economics, brother. Just this is. I don't know. So. I don't know. So maybe voters remembered some of this stuff. I don't know. But he did lower the corporate tax rate from 7.1% to 6.5%. So if that's the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's the nail. We know that from Mondani.
And so I guess that also means that all the Democrats who voted for it in the assembly, they're also not progressive either, right?
I can't speak on them. I don't know their record, man. I don't even know.
No, they vote. I said that voted for it.
You can argue that. Some people would say you're correct.
Okay, that's fair. I don't know, man. I forgot Cuomo did all this stuff as governor. He really was going to be, well, he's not married. He really was going to be president of the United States before the scandal. If he didn't get
governor. It really fucks him up, man.
He really was going to.
He had the momentum.
No, I did. The first state to offer free 4-year college tuition in history. But World says that's not. Well, no, he said that was progressive. Gay marriage, legalized marijuana. Hold on. Let me see. He might have had a bad. I know he was against the defund the police slogan, but I don't really know. Governors and police are kind of weird. I don't really think about governors and police. But what other issue can we look up?
I mean, he did gun control. He did a little bit more gun control.
I think he did some. I just Googled it. Like, all of the right-wing and center-right publications, they hated him. And they said his rescue, he was like to the left of the general Democrat. He was called a progressive all the time. I don't know, City. I mean, maybe you're right about because he was in the Clinton administration, but a lot of people wouldn't have known that, I don't think. Would they have known that?
No, they weren't making that connection. Or didn't care.
Well, now that I look back, and you can speak more on this, because I just passively saw it when it was happening.
Just hold on, City, just so you know. Everybody, just so you know, going forward, John Kitover, the great YouTube streamer who's running for Congress, 16th is streaming online. So just so you know, people should know that he's streaming online. He's the anonymous with the poop down at the bottom. That's John Kitover. Good afternoon, John. Hope you're doing well today. Go ahead, Brother City.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Cynthia Nixon ran against Cuomo in 2018.
Yeah.
And if my memory is correct, she was seen as a progressive possibility in New York at that time, correct?
That's what she wanted to do. She got washed.
It was embarrassing.
Just because she calls herself a progressive doesn't mean the other person's not. I mean, a lot of it was temperament. To be fair, to your point, a lot of it was temperament. And there was another lady called Zephyr Teachout.
Zephyr Teachout.
Tried this as well. Yeah, this is
I remember.
It's not gonna win another name like that.
Yeah. Although there is a Teachout who wrote a pretty good biography of Louis Armstrong. I think it's called Ops. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Yeah, she called herself a progressive, but I mean, she got washed. You can have two progressives running against each other. I think he was, to your point, to be fair, but to your point, I think he was an establishment Democrat who was a bully, but used that to pass far more progressive policies than I remember. This is what I love about this app. I go back and read stuff, and I'm surprised at actually how non-neoliberal these neoliberals apparently are. Fascinating. John Kitover, please come up. We'd like to talk to you, brother. Come on up and we can continue the room. Welcome to the room. We see you on YouTube.
I mean, I think what's fair to say about Cuomo is he did pass a lot of progressive policies, but
for sure.
But if you take a look at kind of Democratic politics in New York and look at kind of positional where different Democrats are, he was on the moderate side of politics within the Democratic coalition in New York.
Awesome.
He did well. I mean, he worked with the Democratic Independent Coalition in the state Senate, so they essentially kind of kept more leftists. The kind of split off group that worked with Republicans and kind of kept more further left policies occurring. I mean, he did do restructuring of Medicaid that cut funding. You mentioned the tax cuts.
What does that mean, the Medicaid to cut funding? I thought Medicaid in New York was pretty robust.
It is, but he did. This goes into more technical details, which I would have to look up to know it. But the bottom line is you reducing payments, reducing state expenditures for Medicaid. I think that would likely have had at least some negative consequences, though I'm not smart enough to speak on the details. My point being is not that I disagree with any of these policies. I mean, I'm a neoliberal shill. I mean, I think a lot of pro-business politics are a good thing, but it is fair to say I think that he wasn't on the left side of internal Democratic politics in New York State.
Okay, I have it here. John Kitover, just so you know, fascinating. It says Cuomo threatened to forego $6.7 billion in emergency. Didn't do that. He had a budget shortfall. So in order to address the issue, the governor convened the Medicaid Redesign Team 2 to identify $2.5 billion in cost-saving measures. In the end, I identified about $1.6 billion through a variety of proposals, most of which made into the budget, including payments to hospitals. Okay. It's not currently clear what, but despite the cuts, he still touted 3% growth in Medicaid spending as part of the budget, representing about a $500 million increase. Oh my God. So if you still grow it, this is...
Me, so can I just say, I think what happens here a lot of times is the politics part and not the governing part. So because he runs with quote unquote centrist Democrats or, the non-progressive party, people associate him with being a centrist, and they don't look at the policies that are actually progressive. I think that's what happens.
Well, it's positional, right? It is what we're talking about in terms of internal democratic politics. And if you look at that, I mean, things like support for the IDC caucus in the state Senate, you're blocking like major progressive legislation like single payer, stronger tenant protections, like the Amazon HQ2 deal, where you're offering pretty massive tax subsidies to get Amazon there. The tenant housing protection, where you're not protecting tenants. All these policies are things I generally agree with. I'm just saying, if you're looking at internal democratic policies in kind of the Democratic coalition, he is fighting people to his left internal to New York state politics, was my only point.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It looks like that part of the issues with the single payer is you have to get federal waivers for Medicaid, Medicare. See, this is very complicated. It says you have to get federal waivers for Medicaid, Medicare, and the ACA requirements. Yeah. He said he liked so the act was called the new, I'm dead. Oh my God. Almost said he said a single payer should be at the federal level instead of the state level, but they call the man a centrist. Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, I would call him a centrist. I wouldn't call him a centrist, but you would acknowledge that there are people in the New York legislature that fought against him politically from the left. I mean, you would at least acknowledge that.
Of course. Not only that, I believe that there are people, that's true of Bernie Sanders. By some tracking records, Kamala Harris was to the left of Bernie Sanders when they were in the Senate. That doesn't mean that Bernie Sanders is not on the left. Oh my God, I found it. In 2008, he called for Medicare for all at the federal level. This is nasty work.
Damn.
This is nasty work. Same with the Hakeem Jeffries. The Hakeem Jeffries one is just pure racism that we played earlier today. This is Hakeem Jeffries co-sponsored the Medicare for all. This is nasty work. This is, I have to reevaluate these labels.
Do you think Cuomo kicks himself every day over how he messed things up in the end run?
I think it starts with him getting the divorce. He should have just stayed married. It would have kept him out of a lot of trouble. It would have had the perception. It would have been hard for him to be president, I think, as a single dude. We've only had one. And that dude is oftentimes seen as the worst president of all time. Not that those two go together. That dude being James Buchanan, that dude. He was president from 1857 to 1861. But I believe this woman called Hakeem Jeffries centrist, and he's the co-sponsor for Medicare for all in Congress. Something's going on. That's wild. Anyways, open. John Kitover, you can come on up if you want, brother. You can come up. We know who you are. I used to go by Edmund Cheeseburger, all that. Come on up, brother.
Do you think Adams or Como will drop out? Go?
No.
Or do you think they'll just duke it out till the end? Because I was reading an article about how the guy who owns Mercedes, I don't remember his name, he's like this Greek guy. He's trying to rally a lot of rich business owners in New York to pick a candidate to coalesce around before September. And apparently, there's some arcane New York laws that say that the only way to remove people from the actual ballot is if they die or they end up moving to a different state. And so there's all this chatter from Ackman and his ilk about trying to get somebody to be the flag bearer and give the other candidates some goodies so that they are happy in the end. It's gonna be if I really do think if these people all staying because they're so egotistical, then Mamdani has an easier day in November.
Oh yeah, I think they'll stay for sure. I think he'll probably get a plurality because it's first past the post, so I think it'll be, I don't know, he'll win, 40 to 39 to 45%, probably. I think his cap is probably 45. I think his floor is probably 37. I think that's fair with all the people in. If someone were to drop out, I'd have to reevaluate it. Still was actually polling higher than I would have expected. So, I don't know. Anyway, stage is open if I can speak. I think this startup New York thing is actually a pretty good idea. And I'm based off where these college towns are too, I'm pretty sure that there's not a lot of people who will be able to take advantage of it. But the college towns, if you know upstate New York, those college towns around the SUNYs are dead. They are ghost towns. And so, I don't know. But to be fair to City, I guess whenever you hear certain buzzwords, you just assume it's bad and you don't go and think about it. So if you hear certain buzzwords, you assume it's good, so you don't go and think about it. But that's the difference between governing and reading and going by vibes. But this is a good program. Which gets us back to the original point of the room. I just think that it's too easy to say that people who don't vote in a particular way did so because of name recognition. I think people are very savvy.
How is it in New York City? I wonder, vibe check wise, is it active this summer? Are people out and about doing their thing? Because I'm hearing about Long Island just being dead as a doornail, super quiet. People are very solemn right now. So I think
it never recovered from COVID.
They're paying
there was a
attention.
little. Once it opened up, there was a little hey, but it never kind of fully recovered. A lot of people left, and so it doesn't have the same vibe. A lot of places that you thought could have survived COVID, it did for a little while, bars, restaurants, and stuff. And I have a whole little theory about what anybody would call happy hour culture. I think COVID killed happy hour culture, and happy hour culture in New York City, if I remember pre-COVID, was so important because it led to, led to dinner culture, which led to drinks culture, which led to, and I feel like now people stay home, you're less likely to go to happy hour and leave the house because you're already home. So you stay in your apartment. But train, you work downtown, say you work on Union Square, and you're gonna take the C up to N or whatever, and then you're gonna get on one of the rails to go either in New York City or outside. You might go over to Nomad Hotel, you know what I'm saying, which has since closed. And have some drinks, and that goes there. That kind of thing is kind of gone. So it's not like it was, but it's better than it was in 2022, I would say. 2023, people may have a different experience.
That's what's up. Yeah, it's a slow comeback, but I believe in you. I think y'all will definitely come back sooner or later. Yeah, I guess the happy hour culture is a big part of New York. Yeah.
Oh, the government using targeted, this is what Niga says in the chat, using targeted tax incentives to uplift and foment a project is not a policy designed to lower corporate tax liability, but instead to encourage corporations to invest and spend on projects they are not obligated to invest in. That's not a corporate tax rate. What you wrote, which is very well written, is precisely the main argument that right-wing and conservative economists use to defend corporate tax breaks.
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
That's literally what it is. So
yeah, but I'm not doing it. People say this, so it's wrong. Like, people can say the exact same thing and mean something different. Someone having a sweeping corporate tax break designed to first and foremost lower tax liability can say, hey, I'm just doing this to help companies invest in a particular thing. I don't think the CHIPS Act does that. I think the CHIPS Act is, in fact, measurably targeted. It is not put forth just to lower tax liability, and it is almost dedicated entirely towards increasing investment in these semiconductors. So, if we're going to say the CHIPS Act is a sweeping corporate, if we're now saying the CHIPS Act is just a corporate tax break, then we sound like leftists. We sound like leftists.
You see how sensitive the wording is when
Hold on. Water, you weren't here. Hold on, bro. That literally nobody said any of that. What we said was, City was saying how he wasn't a progressive, and he was naming a set of policies where he used the tax code, corporate tax breaks, which is what they are, to do the very thing you said that they do. That's what we were talking about. So we all agree. No one said the CHIPS Act. By the way, the semiconductor part of the CHIPS Act is one of the smaller parts because it had all the NSF funding in it. It's huge, it's a massive bill. But nobody was saying that. That's what we're saying. And so I'll give you the 7.1 to 6.5. Maybe if people think that's a right-wing trickle-down thing to lower our corporate tax rate by 0.6. In fact, it sounds like something that he did in order to get votes from certain constituents, because the Senate was really, sometimes you have to negotiate to get things passed. But to me, that does not make someone not a progressive if you vote for something that lowers the corporate tax rate.
I don't like having to defend, City says a lot of reductive things. Everybody says reductive things sometimes. I say reductive things sometimes. I'm saying we can't just keep following each other's own reductions, because then nobody's saying anything that's true. I don't think we need to, in order to protect and defend good things Biden did, in response to leftists, be like, now we're... Well, you mentioned the CHIPS Act, right? And I
use it as an example of how you can have a progressive policy using corporate tax breaks. No,
Odie, save it for chillism. Odie, Goat's back. You can stop yelling at me and chillism.
I don't know why you just interrupt us in the middle of back and forth.
This nigga said I scared you off the app. He did a whole intervention this week. You gotta leave. You gotta stop. Oat's never gonna come back because you can't hear me. Odie,
what's going on?
I don't know. Odie was freaking out. He's back. Odie.
He's back. Anywhere. Just keep going.
It's Sunday.
No, I just don't. I don't think it's fair to describe what you would consider to be like centrist or conservative Democrats as just Republicans. And I think making arguments that things like the CHIPS Act are corporate tax breaks, which can come from the left, is inaccurate and unhelpful. At the same time, I don't think centrists and leftists, or people who want to defend centrists and leftists, should be like, yeah, it is a corporate tax break. You need to get on the game.
It does contain corporate tax breaks.